visualize that. Just visualize it. You have no obstacle stopping you. Where would you want to be right now? Where you could turn that dream into a reality with a lot of hard work, commitment, persistence, and consistency. Would you want to take a look at it? Now, yeah, that's exactly what we're here for tonight. My name is Mary Smith, for those of you that don't know me. My husband Richard is out here somewhere. He's sitting down because he just had heart surgery. Anyway, it's my really extreme pleasure to welcome this evening the first diamond in JewelWay, what do I say, leader? The guy in charge is putting all the corporate trainings together, and he's really going to bless us this evening with his presence here. But before we get started with that, I wanted to share a little bit something with you for Greg. We wanted to give him a warm Oregon welcome right into Midtown, mid-center of Oregon. So Greg, we're going to give you some hazelnuts. All right, all you hazelnut farmers. Some salmon jerky. Woo! An Oregon wine bag. Filled with a t-shirt. And on this t-shirt, it says that Oregon is #2 in sales. Oregon Trail, California, is #1, but we're well on our way.
Now, you see, it's my first time in Eugene. Oh, we can't hear? Maybe we could have some help with the microphone somewhere, or I'll speak up. But this is my first trip, first time to Eugene. I can tell I like it here. It's a wonderful place. I can see that Eugene's going to be one of my favorite places. Winnipeg in February is one of my least favorites. I was doing a presentation in Winnipeg in February and thanked everybody for coming out in 20 degree below weather. And they all laughed. They said that's the best we've had in a month. But I'd like to see a show of hands. I didn't see you earlier. How many guests do we have here this evening? Seeing this opportunity for the first time? Well, great. Welcome. Welcome. Your friend is thinking of you. How many individuals, if I could see another show of hands, how many people here this evening have been involved or currently involved in network distribution? Oh, excellent. Welcome. And how many wouldn't raise their hand no matter what I said? That's all right, too. Just sit back and relax, because I'm just going to put out some information. Your friend was thinking of you, and I'm going to put out some information about a very misunderstood industry. And so just to put you at ease, I want to start by indicating it doesn't cost anything to be an independent representative of JewelWay. So the guests can just unfold their arms, just relax. One time I heard somebody say, just leave your wallet at home and come with an open mind. And I tried to repeat that, and I said, leave your mind at home and come with an open wallet. Didn't go over very well. But anyway, over the next 45 minutes, I'd like to share information with you specifically on a very misunderstood industry. Information about a company, a very unique compensation plan to the industry of network distribution, why their product is ideal, and how all the pieces of the puzzle fit together and what that can mean for you. You know, I get a little nervous up here, and it's not because there's over 1,000 people in the room. It's because I'm attached to this wireless microphone. I was doing a presentation one time in Vernon and left this thing on and went to use the restroom. There was no conversation, though. I was the only one in there. But I decided to be here. Would you say it's human nature to be cautious of things we don't fully understand? Fair statement. Human nature to be cautious of things we don't fully understand. And we see that all the time. And would you say that network marketing or network distribution is an industry that's misunderstood by many people? Sure, I thought so too. I can remember when I was first introduced to network distribution, I had preconceived ideas. I thought it was one of those pyramid things. I thought I was too good for it. I didn't fully understand it. And so therefore, I guess I had some fear of things I didn't fully understand. My background, I was born and raised in Arizona. And my background is agriculture. My father sat me down at a very young age and indicated, he said to me, son, people need food and fiber. This will be a very secure industry. So in Arizona, the farmers were struggling. The cost of water was going up, the major crop was cotton, and the cost of the commodity was going down, and they were struggling to make ends meet. And I started to work with the growers to help relieve some of that pressure. They were unfortunately being forced sometimes to sell some land to relieve some of that debt. And then all of a sudden that real estate market started to buyouts, the cutbacks, the mergers, the acquisitions, and see the change that's taking place in our society. And I can relate to that change just in my involvement in what happened in Arizona. Arizona was built on the 3 C's, cotton, copper, and cattle. The change in technology and change has changed that entire environment. You see, the cotton industry is not what it was. It's being replaced with synthetics and other fibers. We're seeing the copper industry is being replaced with plastics and alloys. We're seeing the cattle industry that's changing. People are starting to watch their consumption of red meat. They're looking at that midsection, so they're slowing down on their consumption of red meat, and that's changed the cattle industry. And when I was involved in the real estate industry, we saw that change had taken place there. With one fell swoop of the pen in 1986, with the change in tax laws, it changed that industry forever. And so change is inevitable. That's one of the things that most of us fear, is change. And I can remember when I was first introduced to network marketing, it was something different, it was something foreign to me. And I was intrigued with the concept, and it was a friend of mine that introduced me. Called me up, and I can call him a friend now, an individual that I had sold some real estate to, and he defaulted on the note, and I wanted to get paid. And I called him up to set up a meeting to see if we could work out that note. And I went over to his office, and it didn't take me long to realize he didn't want to work out that note. He started drawing circles on the board, introducing me to network marketing. And so I sat there, and I was intrigued with the concept, but I said, well, I just don't know if it's for me, thank you, no. And so, but I kept thinking about it, because what he instilled in me was that no matter what profession, no matter what career or industry you're in, most of us are trading time for money. And as long as we're exchanging a unit of time for a unit of money, we can't get ahead. You see, even professionals, doctors and attorneys, if they're not seeing clients or patients, they're not getting paid. And most individuals that are working for salary or hourly wage, if you're not working, you're not getting paid. Or even if you own your own business. How many people own their own business? Or have owned their own business? Isn't that fun? Sure. Many times everybody gets paid but the owner, right? Absolutely. So he shared with me a concept of leverage and what network distribution could, what it could do for ourselves and our family. And I was excited about that. And I want to share that with you. But because I was cautiously skeptical of an industry, I'd like to share with you some of the things I've learned about this industry of network distribution. And I'm going to share with you about the industry and what it's really about, the concept of leverage. And then I'm going to share with you specifics about a company and the principles and people behind it, their unique compensation plan, and why their product is ideal for this method of distribution. I'm going to share this information in the same manner in which the principals put this company together. And setting out to find the ideal compensation plan and then setting out to find the ideal product. But about the industry in itself, it's very misunderstood. I share with you a reprint of Success Magazine, the May issue of 1994. It's indicating that network distribution is a silent giant of an industry. Misunderstood by many people, but companies you're very familiar with. Huge companies are very much involved. How many people have heard of Jafra? Some of you, many of you? Sure. Jafra is owned by the Gillette Corporation. For over a decade, that entire company has been built through network marketing, network distribution. We're seeing many companies you're familiar with. U.S. Sprint has been marketing their long-distance service to a company by the name of Network 2000, based out of St. Louis, Missouri now for over a decade. We're finding that AllNet is now claiming to be the 5th largest long-distance communication carrier, and they're entirely built for network distribution. We see that the A.O. Williams Corporation wrote an astounding $96 billion in term life insurance in a 4-year period of time, and that was entirely built for network distribution. And then the company sold to Prime America for $1 billion. Companies you're familiar with. How many moms do we have here that are familiar with Discovery Toys? Heard of the company anyway? Discovery Toys is doing $100 million a year. And that company is entirely built through network marketing, through network distribution. We're seeing that ServiceMaster is entering into the arena as well. Rexall Drugs, a respected name for over 80 years, is very much involved. For the past 5 years, they started Rexall Showcase, based out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, owned by 2 giant companies, or 2 subsidiary companies, Thompson Nutritional and Sundown Vitamins. Colgate-Palmolive, they own Princess House, very much involved in network distribution. How many people have heard of the A Company? Sure, absolutely, been around for over 30 years. You see the principals in the company that are in the Forbes 400 list over the last several years. Anyway, it's just a huge industry. The Yamaguchi Corporation, $1 billion corporation out of Japan, has purchased a company that you're familiar with. Anybody heard of Jacqueline? Doing $500 million a year in sales, purchased by the conglomerate Yamaguchi Corporation. And we're seeing that many other companies, Dynapon, a multi-billion-dollar company, has entered the arena with their own division called RichNet. And so, no longer network distribution, just some little home-based business. But the exciting part about it, major companies are entering in this arena as a support base to allow ourselves to have a home-based business. You see, the company itself is a support base. They ship the product, calculate the bonus checks, and produce the materials that we use. The organization, the network, is built by ourselves, people like you and I, independent representatives, looking for a better way. You see, the Wall Street Journal has recently indicated that by the year 2000, 50% of the population will have a home-based business, that people are looking for a way to supplement their income. Would you agree with me it's taking 2 incomes to live the same lifestyle as parents did with 1? Sure. Just a little bit more money, right? Absolutely. So people are looking. And not only is this an industry that's throughout North America, it's a worldwide boom. And I'll share with you how you can own your own business, pride of ownership as an independent representative, and have an international business. We're currently marketing in all 50 states, Puerto Rico, Guam, and Canada, and this year starting our international expansion. But the premise of network distribution is really a right of empowerment. And that is where each of us has the right to offer the opportunity in the business and offer the product to our friends, to anybody. We all have the right to offer that. So now, as a guest here this evening, your friend probably bribed you to get you here, right? Promised you dinner, did something anyway. Well, they were thinking of you because when you see this concept, you see that success is only created by helping other people. And that's it. We're not used to thinking that way. And through this, I can still remember when this friend of mine first introduced me to network distribution. He said, Frank, let me share with you how you can own a business and build a network, build an organization where $1 million of product is $1 million in product. And I thought to myself, well, that's pretty simple math. 1,000 representatives, each doing a little bit, just $1,000 in business, and $1 million moves, and you get an override on that. But I thought, 1,000 people. I don't even know 1,000 people. How do I build a network of 1,000 people? He said, Greg, that's the beauty of this right of empowerment. Everybody has the right to offer it to others. He said, do you think on a part-time basis, do you think that you could introduce, or as we call, sponsor one person a month for the next 12 months? Just one person a month for the next 12 months. Somebody that feels like they're overworked and underpaid. Somebody that would like to set their retirement in 5 years instead of 40 years. Somebody that would like to spend more time at home with their family with a home-based business. I said, yes, I'm one of them. He said, great, let me share with you what will happen. We'll go through 12 months, January, February. How'd they do? Good. First month, we're off to a fast start. January, we sponsor one friend. One person we care about.
one person that we would like to help to set their retirement or change in lifestyle. We move into our second month. We have one person within our network. They sponsor one, you sponsor one. Now you have 3 representatives in your organization. You see, he indicated that you sponsor one person a month, but teach them to do the same thing. So 2 months into the business, we have 3 people within our organization. Are you excited? Maybe not. Third month, you have 3 representatives in your organization, 3 people you care about. And each of those 3 introduce one person they care about. 3 new representatives came into your business. You sponsor one, now you have 7 representatives in your organization. Now my friend was real straightforward. He said, Greg, right here's where most people let it go. And I said, what do you mean let it go? He said, well, I've been in the business for 3 months. And after 3 months, there's only 7 people in the network. They're not seeing the income they thought they would. They're not seeing the success they thought they would. It's just not growing fast enough. Anybody else felt that way? Sure, that happens. After 3 months in the business, he said, a lot of people just let it go. Now let me ask you a question as a business owner. As a business owner, if you've taken all your time and energy and capital and put it into a business, and would you make a go of it? Especially if the rewards could bring you a residual income, I would think so. But bear with me now. The 4th month, 7 people within your organization. Each of those introduce one person they care about. So 7 new people came in the network. You do the same, now you have 15 representatives of your organization. The next month, 15 representatives of your organization. Each introduce one person they care about. You do the same. Now you have 31 representatives in your organization. When they do the same thing, when those 31 introduce one person, you do the same, you'll have 63 representatives in your organization. Now every time these individuals, every time they make a sale of product, every time product moves away from the company, because that's the only way bonuses and commissions are earned, is when product is moving. You see, it costs nothing to be an independent representative here with JWI International. And in doing so, as product moves. But imagine now if 63 individuals, whether it be a gift-giving purchase or a small sale to a friend, you can see how that volume might start to grow. The next month, introducing one person to the product or opportunity, you'll have 127 within your organization. The next month, 255. The next month, just introducing one person you care about, and you doing the same, everyone doing the same, 511 within your organization. The next month, when they introduce one, you introduce one, you'll have 1,023 in your organization. The 11th month, 2,047. The 12th month, introducing one person, you doing the same, 4,095 representatives in your organization. Now in doing so, how many people that you cared about did you introduce to the business? Well, one person a month on a part-time basis. You cost them to do the same. Have you found that things don't always work as planned? I found that many times. Well, let's say that your organization only grows to maybe 25% that rate. Just 25% of that growth. Let's say that you have 1,000 representatives in your organization. If 1,000 representatives, if all they did was $1,000 in business, do you see how your organization has just moved $1 million in product? You have a home-based business with no employees, no overhead, operated through telephones, and you've had $1 million in sales of product that move away from the company. They ship the product, calculate the bonus checks, and send you the overnight check. That's an exciting proposition. Now, this also breaks the equation of trading time for money. Fair statement to say that there's no such thing as a 40-hour work week any longer? Most people are working 50 or 60 hours a week, aren't they, to make ends meet? Absolutely. Well, now imagine if you have 1,000 representatives in your organization. If 1,000 representatives, if all they did was put in an hour a day, a 1 hour a day commitment part-time, do you now see how your organization and you're benefiting from 1,000 hours a day? 1,000 hours a day. You see, we've been limited because we're trading time for money. This breaks the equation of trading time for money, no matter what profession. Now, I know some attorneys that find a way to bill for 30 hours a day, but they're still limited. They're still limited. And so you can start to see what this can do for you. I hope what you saw here was just not numbers growth. I hope what you saw here were people, because that's what it's about. We're introducing people to a business that they can have private ownership, and we're going to teach them how to carry on with that business and how it can develop and grow. Now, to help understand this concept, I know you've seen this before. My friend said, Frank, Let me share with you the difference between the duplication of 2 and 3. And this is something we do all the time anyway. He said, when you run across something good, do you share it with people? What do we do naturally? We do this, don't we? Absolutely. How many people saw the best-selling, I think it broke all the records, best-selling movie Jurassic Park last year? Some of you, many of you, those that have kids saw it. Sure. Absolutely. Jurassic Park broke all records. There's another movie out with Arnold Schwarzenegger, The Last Action Hero, came out about the same time. Did you realize that The Last Action Hero didn't do that well at the box office, and it had a larger advertising budget than Jurassic Park? That's because people were telling people. Maybe you went to see the movie and liked it, and you would say, hey, that's a pretty good show, and you told 2 friends about it. And those 2 friends you told about the movie went to go see the movie, and they liked it. And so they told 2 friends about it and went to see the movie. So 4 people went as a result of those 2 telling 2 friends. And when those 4, they liked it and told 2 people, and 8 people went to see the movie as a result of that. And when they did the same thing, 16 went to see the movie. When those 16 told 2, and you can see what happens here. Let's add this up. In this example, 126 individuals went to see the movie Jurassic Park. And that was all based because you told 2 friends about it. Who told 2 went to see it, and told 2, who told 2, who told 2, and it grew. And so, next time you go to the theater, give you a free box of popcorn, free movie ticket? Usually not. Here's a way we can find and share something good with a friend and get paid for it. So imagine you have found a business that can create residual income, and that's very elusive. Residual income is very elusive. When you think about it, it's very difficult to obtain because once you develop an organization, it can continue to develop with or without your own effort. And you introduce 3 people to the business, and those 3 introduced 3, and 9 new representatives came into your network. When those 9 introduced 3, 27 new representatives came into your network. When they did the same thing or do the same thing, 81 new representatives came into your organization. When those 81 tell 3, 243 new people came into your network. When they did the very same thing, introduced 3 people, 729 new representatives involved themselves in your business, in their business. If we were to add that up now, you have 1,092 representatives. The difference is not here. The difference is in the duplication of 1 more. And when I saw that concept, I said, wow, that's great. If it works that well, I'm going to go sponsor 40. And that's what we did. Absolutely. And it's amazing what can transpire. Rick Newell was doing a presentation in Vancouver, and he came back to Phoenix, and he was all excited. Rick was a friend of mine, and so Rick came back and he's saying, you know, Greg, there were 700 people in the room. Not near as many as here tonight. 700 people in the room. He said, I didn't know any of them. They were all within my organization, all within my network. He said that was developed because he had sponsored a minister in Phoenix. The minister in turn had sponsored his son. The son sponsored his sister. The sister introduced and sponsored a friend in Vancouver who introduced others, and it grew to over 700 people in that presentation. He was very excited. And I loved hearing that story. Do you know why?
On your downline.
Sure. And it's a wonderful business. You know, I've shared with you about the concept of leverage, and sometimes it takes a couple of times to see that. Many people tend to see numbers, but it's not numbers, it's people you care about. And because times are changing. You know, you just see what's happening. Look at the best-selling book, In Search of Excellence by Tom Peters. He indicates over the last decade, 30 million people were laid off, let go, or fired due to mergers, acquisitions, layoffs, or cutbacks. Security is no longer in the corporate structure. And he's saying that, you know, many years ago, that we were all brought up in society to believe that that we were going to live and die within those corporations. Get a good education, find a good job, and that company's going to take care of you. But that's no longer valid. It's just not valid. And it's not the 30 million people that were laid off in the last decade. It's the other 150 million people in the workforce that saw it take place. So what's happened? That's right. What's happened is that people realize the frailty of their situation. And so they're starting to look a little bit. They're starting to look. And there's evidence of it. And we see some of that evidence. Now, when I saw this opportunity, I thought, okay, I can see this industry is for real. But it's still misunderstood by most. But wasn't franchising 30 years ago? When franchising first came on the scene 30 years ago, it was misunderstood by most people. How many remember when franchising first came out? It was scorned and scoffed, wasn't it? Newspapers, magazines would not take advertising to franchising companies. Most people don't realize that franchising was 11 votes away from being deemed something illegal in Congress. People are resistant to change. And so what was happening here was a new method of distribution with franchising. And so it was somewhat slow in acceptance for its first 10 years. But today, franchising moves 30% of our gross national product, over $800 billion. And I'm convinced that network distribution is where franchising was about 20 years ago. And it's up to ourselves to be ambassadors to educate people to what this industry is really about. It's about helping people. But I wanted to know who's behind this company. And the company is JWI, JW International, JewelWay, and it's based in Tucson, Arizona, and it's a Canadian office in Calgary, Alberta. And so when I first looked at the opportunity, I thought, well, who's behind this company? And I'd like to share some of that with you. Bruce Caruth, Dee Walden, and Bob Charette are the principals of the company. It's privately held. I want to know a little about them, and I'd like to share that with you. Each one of them, prior success in prior business ownership, but each one of them has been in the field and they developed networks themselves as independent representatives and saw success and reached the top achievement levels in 2 other companies. I was impressed with the conservative nature and thought processes of the president, Bruce Caruth. Very conservative man. 8 years he was with Price Waterhouse, an internationally recognized firm. And what he did with Price Waterhouse was consult to major companies to help increase their efficiencies and improve their bottom line. In doing so, consulted to Kennecott Copper, Phelps Dodge, U-Haul, many others, and that's who's at the helm of the company. They recognize that the success of the company is based on the success of the representatives. You see, I might be a little cautious of a public company in network distribution because the allegiance all goes to the stockholders. We're here, they realize the success of the company is based on the success of the independent representatives. And I could see Bruce knew that. When I first met him, he put out his hand with a big smile and shook my hand and said, Greg, I look forward to signing your bonus check. I like that statement. So do many others. And so there's a long-term commitment. And the commitment is that the company started, I think it was 5th year now, started small. First year did $1.5 million in sales. Second year, $8 million. Third year, just under $16 million. The 4th year completed the year with an excess of $60 million in sales. Last month did an excess of $8 million just for the month. And so this company started debt-free, today remains debt-free. You see, if you were to take a look in 1980 at the list of Fortune 500 companies, 47% of those companies are no longer in business today. In the 1980 Fortune 500 list, 47% are no longer in business, and that's because those companies took on debt. JewelWay International started debt-free and today remains debt-free. And they're committed to not taking on debt. I like that. And they're going to be around. We're going to be growing petunias when this company is still going. But I'd like to take a moment to share with you a very unique compensation plan. See, when I was first introduced here, I saw something I'd never seen before. There are many fine companies in network marketing with many fine products. But what I saw was something very different. The principals had taken a compensation plan, and because of their knowledge of the industry, and they were evaluating what was out there. And what they were doing was looking for the best elements in designing and setting up a compensation plan. And there are 4 key points that set up our compensation plan, set it apart from anything else in the industry. Would you agree with me that people are motivated either by income or lifestyle? Sure. I found that JewelWay International is paying weekly bonus checks, not monthly bonus checks. I would much rather have a bonus check every week than every month. That's why I'm going to the mailbox on Saturday. Second point, I found with other opportunities that there were personal sales volume requirements or quotas. Now, I've had enough of that in the corporate structure. What happens in the corporate structure if you're good at what you do? If you're good at what you do, what do? They shrink your territory and raise your quota, don't they? Well, network marketing figured out that worked pretty good, and all the other companies, what happens is you've got to develop 5 to 10 legs wide, and that's a little more difficult. To give you a brief example, now, you thought you were going to sit through this presentation without seeing circles, were you? I can't do it here. All right, well, let's say that's you, and you introduce a friend to the business, introduce 3 friends, 4 friends, 5 friends to the business. Now, everybody has the right to offer the business to others. And this friend introduces some people to the business. It starts to grow. And they introduce the people to the business. It starts to grow. Is it a fair statement to say that friends know the same friends in many situations, right? So if you've got these friends over here, they are not receiving any benefit from the growth of the organization from this friend over here. Now, wouldn't it make more sense to just create two legs? So that means after you've introduced two people, one person on each leg, then the people above you, once there's an individual on each leg or a person you've introduced on each leg, then that means there's incentive, and they're almost forced to introduce some people down below. And that creates excitement. And when friends tend to know the same friends, let's say here's a friend here, and this friend knows them, and this friend knows them. What happens when both those friends are in the business, tires are squealing in the middle of the night to see who can get to that friend the fastest. But here, I'll share with you in a moment, with the JewelWay compensation plan, how with only two legs, that those friends can all work in harmony together and create a team effort. And then a fourth point, which I've never seen done before, is where your upline can actually, the people that introduce you and introduce them, your upline can actually reposition themselves below you in the downline. But I'd like to go through the compensation plan, and as I do this, I need an involuntary volunteer. I usually choose somebody out of the front row smiling. I wish you could see their faces. They'll wipe the smile right off their face. They're all saying, "Oh, don't choose me." They're looking the other way now. Let's see. It's Wanda. Wanda's still smiling. Oh, you don't have to get up, Wanda. Wanda's our involuntary volunteer. Now, I'm going to go into detail in just a moment on the product and share with you why it's ideal. But for the time being, I wanted to remind you that there's no cost to becoming an independent representative. And in doing so, as a representative, you can acquire whatever you would like for yourself for resale at a 30 to 45% discount. Let's say Wanda looks in our catalog of 2,300 items. She may see a lot of things she likes. She sees that Mother's Day is coming up, graduations, anniversaries, many gift-giving occasions, holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, etc. Or she says, forget all that stuff, I like that for me. That's it. And so, as Wanda looks in the catalog, and she may see just a couple of dazzling things that she really likes. And maybe that's $3,000 in the catalog. Forget that price, Wanda, because as an independent representative, you can acquire that for much less. And let's say with the discount, you could acquire that for somewhere around $2,250. And that is going to earn Wanda 9 sales increments in the compensation plan. Now, how do we arrive at that? You see, for every $250 in product that is sold from JewelWay International, that is going to earn you a sales increment. Each sales increment, if you notice, has 2 legs to it. And I'm about to show you $1 million pair of legs here. So, we're all going to look at Wanda's legs here. And so, each sales increment has 2 legs to it. And a sales increment really is just a method of counting sales volume. That's all it is. Just a method of counting sales volume. Now, Wanda has the right, we're going to put a W in here for Wanda. She has the right to offer the opportunity and the product to others. Wanda, I have a difficult question for you. Please name a friend. Sherry and Doug, okay. Well, let's say Wanda goes to Sherry and Doug and says, Sherry and Doug, I've watched you for years. You've worked hard. Are you any better off now than you were 2 years ago? Here's the business we can work together, have fun, pride of ownership, and create some residual income. And so Sherry and Doug see the opportunity. They get excited. They get involved. And let's say that Sherry and Doug make a sale that earns 5 sales increments in the compensation plan. And Sherry and Doug have some friends they want to share it with, and maybe they go to Pete. And Pete is an athlete, professional athlete. Pete has bad knees. His days are numbered. He didn't make it through school. Well, anyway, Pete sees the opportunity. Pete gets excited. Pete sees he can have pride of ownership with the business. He can start now on a part-time basis and develop something that can bring rewards for many years to come. And so Pete makes let's say, a gift-giving purchase. A gift-giving purchase that earns 7 sales increments in the compensation plan. Then somebody above Wanda introduces a friend to the business and places that sales volume down below in her organization. And let's say this is Nancy. Nancy, she says, boy, I don't understand this compensation plan, but I sure like the product. And let's say Nancy makes a purchase that earns... Was that mean or what? Nancy makes a purchase that earns 5 cents. I should let him go. He's here to help build the network here. Wanda haven't... Now, how many people has Wanda introduced here to the opportunity? Just one, right? Introduced Sandy and Doug, and Sandy and Doug have introduced Pete to the opportunity in business. And then somebody above Wanda has introduced Nancy and is starting to grow. Wanda, please name another friend. Shirley and Denny. We got a couple of SMEs here. All right, Shirley and Denny. And so Shirley and Denny, see, they've been working hard together. See, Shirley's working, Denny's working. Shirley's ready to spend some more time at home with the family and the kids. She sees she can develop something part-time here that's going to allow her to do that. And so she involves herself in the business that earns 5 sales increments. And then Shirley and Denny introduce a friend to the business. And let's say that that's Rick. Rick has always wanted pride of ownership of the business. He has looked, he has dreamed. He's looked at franchises, and he sees that franchising, the minimum franchise is about $80,000. He's looked at all the avenues of trying to have pride of ownership in a business. He sees that even to get a hot dog stand is going to be about $3,000, and he's just trading time for money. And so he sees now here he can have a home-based business with pride of ownership that he can develop to set some retirement, to create residual income. And so Rick involves himself. Then Rick in turn introduces a friend, and let's say that that is Tim. Tim makes a purchase or sale that earns 3 sales increments. Somebody above Wanda introduces a friend and places that sales volume down here with another 3 sales increments. Now, so far, how many people has Wanda introduced to the opportunity of business? Just 2, right? 2. Shirley and Denny, is that right? Sherry and Doug. I'll get that right. You tested. Okay. But through the right of empowerment, they've introduced others that start to grow. Now, what happens at the company every Friday is they divide your organization in half. They isolate the top sales increment. You have a left leg and a right leg. And every week they count the sales volume simply by counting the number of sales increments. And they'll start on the left side and just count. Down on the left and count over here on the right. And when the computer finds 12 or more sales increments on the left side of your organization and 12 or more on the right side of your organization, that will pay you a sales bonus of $500. Now, in this example, that's taken place right here. Wanda has earned $500, introducing 2 friends to the business, teaching them how to develop and do the same. You see, it takes activity or sales volume on each of those legs. So the computer is not only going to look down the left side of your organization and the right side, it's going to do the same for everybody. So it's going to look on the left and right side over here for Sherry and Doug, and Shirley and Denny on the left and right side. And it counts sales volume on the left side over here, but it only sees 2 sales increments on the right side. So Shirley and Doug have incentive. They have friends they want to introduce as well. And they do just that. And those friends make a sale that earns 5 sales increments in the compensation plan. And then the same starts to happen. As this grows faster and faster, when the computer finds 24 or more sales increments on the left and the right side, that in turn will pay you a sales bonus check of $1,000. And the computer's going to look down the left and the right side over here for Pete, and the left and the right side for Rick, and for Tim, and for Nancy. And let's say that each individual just introduces 2 people to a business that can change their life. Just 2. You can start to see what will happen as those introduce an individual here. And they introduce 2 people. You can start to see the sales volume, the sales that are created. And each week, JewelWay is just counting the sales increments to count the sales volume. And over time, when there's 36 or more sales increments on the left and the right side of your organization, that week it will pay you a sales bonus check of $1,500. And it simply counts the volume every single week. And you think, well, what if there's not at least 12 on each side? Great, it'll just hold it and count it again the next week. Just the next week. And that's one source of earning income, sales bonus. You see, but the unique thing about this, it's a team effort where together everyone achieves more. I want to share something with you. Wanda's friends over here, Shirley and Doug. For Shirley and Doug to earn sales bonus, what's the minimum sales volume that they have to have in the left leg and the right leg? 12 on each leg, right? Now, if there's 12 on the left leg and 12 on the right leg, Seems to me that 24 are flowing up to Wanda, right? Does Wanda have incentive to help her friends? The only business I know that when you help other people become successful, you become successful. You see, we're not accustomed to that. If you've been in the corporate structure and there's a promotion you're after, but 4 or 5 other people are vying for that promotion, are you going to help somebody else get it? Maybe not. Any restaurant owners here tonight? Some of you? Many of you? No? If I opened up a brand new restaurant right next to you, are you going to say, hey, welcome, Greg, let me share my menu with you and give you my best client list? Sure. Any realtors here? If I came into your office and said, oh boy, I'm a brand new agent, you're not going to say, great, let me give you all my best listings over here and share with you my client list. Probably not going to happen. But in this business, you see, the people have an interest, the upline, the team have an interest in teaching and helping and developing the business because they know if they can help you see success, then guess what? It just automatically happens. So you take the focus off you and put it on other people, and that's great. That's why your friend invited you here tonight. Absolutely. Now that's one source of earning income. But you also get paid for helping people earn income with the leadership bonus. When one individual on the left side and one on the right side earn bonus that week, the same week, you are going to earn a leadership bonus of $250. When 2 people earn bonus the same week, you'll earn a leadership bonus of $500. When 3 people bonus on the left side and the right side of your organization that week, you will earn a leadership bonus of $750. So we have 2 forms of bonuses, sales bonus and leadership bonus. Now when we look at leadership bonus of $750, sales bonus of $1,500, that's a total of $2,250. And since the computer is counting sales volume every week, if it's finding that sales volume each and every week, do you see how that sales increment has the potential of earning $2,250 per week? That'll pay the credit card bills, won't it? Sure it will. And it makes some time to do that. It may take some effort and time to do that. But look at the rewards. Now, at first you might think, oh, gosh, I don't know if I can do that. You know, but I know you can do it, and your friend knows you can do that. That's why they invited you. As a matter of fact, it's a teaching process. But let's say in the beginning that you're not earning that in the beginning. Let's say that you're not even earning 1 check a week. Let's say that you're just earning 1 check a month. Let's say that you're earning the smallest check a month. Smallest sales bonus of $500. Would $500 make a difference in those people's lives? Sure. $500 might be a nicer car, wouldn't it? Nicer apartment. $500 might mean the difference when you sit at that restaurant, whether you order comfortably from the left side of the menu or the right side of the menu. Right? Sure, absolutely. And so, there's a couple of other things to our compensation plan. Do you remember when I indicated how your upline can reposition below you? Here's how that takes place. You see, as this grows and develops, every time you earn a sales bonus check, attached to that is what's called a placement certificate. What that is a free sales increment for you. A free sales increment for you. And you can place it wherever you want. So let's say that this friend right here, this new friend right here, is talking to Wanda and all excited, saying, Wanda, I've got a friend that's just so excited about this business. They see the concept of leverage, how that can create residual income and time freedom for their family. And they involve themselves in the opportunity. And in doing so, Wanda says, great. Put one of my placement certificates right here above Mr. and Mrs. Powerhouse. And they get excited, and this grows and develops. Now, whenever Wanda's ready, Wanda can come over here and develop this other leg. Now, Wanda can be earning from here as well as her original sales increment at the top. Now, you think that may bother these other individuals here, that she's done that? Not at all. They're excited because this sales volume is flowing right up to help this individual on their right leg, flowing up to help this individual on their left leg, flowing up to help, let's see, Denny and Sherry or Shirley? Shirley. I've been getting it backwards. S&D over here on the left, and then flowing right back up to Wanda to help her on her right leg. It is a win-win situation. Now, if you're looking at this for the first time and say, gosh, I'm not really understanding this, please help me a minute. How many people in this example did Shirley introduce? 2. Do you see what can happen if everybody just introduced 2 people? You see what can transpire and how that can grow and the sales volume's created and it's being counted and you're capturing the overrides from that? Well, that was exciting. When I first saw this, I didn't fully understand it either, but I got enough of it to see how that could make a change. And so I still remember when I was, because network marketing is so misunderstood, I was in Hawaii, and I had met Kelly Suzuki Sharif and John Sharif. And at the time, they were newlyweds. They'd been married for about 30 days. And Kelly was sharing her story with me about how she got involved in the JewelWay opportunity here. And she was indicating that she saw the business. And what she saw was a way to solve a problem for she and her family. You see, John were newlyweds and they wanted to start a family. And there was a problem there because they needed a bigger house if they were going to start a family. Real estate's very expensive in Hawaii. And even though they were very successful in their own careers, Kelly was successful in her real estate career, John was successful in the auto industry, how do you work more hours and to get the extra money to buy the house to start the family? Then you have no time to spend with the family. The equation just wasn't working. She saw here how she could create residual income that could give her the time, that could give her the income to get the house, and as well give her the time to spend with the newborn baby. But she knew John would be a big skeptic. She said, I know, I'll get involved, but I won't tell John. I'll wait until I get my first bonus check. And so I just won't tell him. And so she introduces a friend to the business, and it starts to grow. And then they introduce a friend. And then somebody above Kelly introduces someone to the business and places the sales increments and sales volume down below. Leaves a message on the answering machine saying something like this. Kelly, I just want to let you know I placed another one on your left leg. Right? Guess who got the message? So John came home and said, honey, is there something you want to tell me about? Who's doing what to your left leg? And so it was about that time that Kelly decided that she would sit down with John and really share and show this business with him. And John saw the business too. And I'm proud to say now, their involvement is maybe, 24 to 30 months in the business, not long. There is a new baby, there is a new house, and on a part-time basis, they're still working this business part-time, that John and Kelly are earning about $15,000 a month, part-time. And you know what? There are many stories just like that. Many stories of individuals earning an extra $500, an extra $1,000 a month. And you can do it, I know you can do it. Anybody can do this business. And so trying to absorb this in one sitting can be like getting a drink out of a fire hydrant. And so that's okay. You know, take another look and sit down and ask some questions. Go kick the tires with the company. Now, so far we've talked about a misunderstood industry, a concept of leverage, specifics about the company, a very unique compensation plan that pays weekly bonus checks, no volume requirements. Your upline has incentive to help you build. We're creating a team effort. And then as well, your upline can reposition below you. Now, is there a piece of this puzzle I haven't talked about? Anybody want to know what the product is? Sure, absolutely. Well, you see, just as I've shared this opportunity with you, the company put it together where they tried to create the ideal compensation plan, a win-win for everybody. Then they set out to find the ideal product for this industry of network distribution, the ideal product for this compensation plan. And there are many companies with many fine products out there. Skincare, weight loss, nutrition, water filters, memberships, alarms. You're familiar with many of them. How many times has somebody come up to you and said, here, try this, it's going to help you lose hair, grow weight, drop cholesterol, whatever. All right. Well, now, they created a criteria of 20 different elements in choosing the ideal compensation plan, or excuse me, in choosing the ideal product. They wanted a product that did not have government liabilities, any had liability and government regulated. I'm referring to like the Food and Drug Administration. See, many people are making product claims with many personal care products. You see, we don't have any government regulations with our product. They wanted a product that had emotional appeal. Emotional appeal, and that's an appeal that you don't need to try it to see if it works for you. You see, our product is over 2,300 items of fine jewelry. 2,300 items of fine jewelry, and you think, fine jewelry, I don't know if I can relate to that. But here's why it's ideal. They wanted a product that had no obsolescence. See, just as technology changes very rapidly, you see that cutting edge of technology on that nutrition, diet product, that particular automobile additive or something of that nature, that can be outdated within 12 to 24 months. There's no obsolescence with fine jewelry. It's been around since the beginning of time. They wanted a product that's understood no matter what language you speak, no matter where you're from. Everybody understands the value of gold and diamonds. And it's certainly not a product you have to try to see if it works for you. Right, ladies? I have never met a woman that's turned back a diamond because it's too big. It doesn't happen. No, it just doesn't happen. Here, see if this works for you, honey. It just doesn't happen. 50% of our population here recognizes the value of this product. They're the ones with the longer hair. And the other 50% are starting to see that. Absolutely. Now, is there a demand for the product? Sure, there's a demand for it. What moves the fastest on the home shopping network in QVC? Jewelry, doesn't it? Where are the busiest counters in the department stores during the holiday season? Jewelry counters. If you go into any gift shop in a hotel or resort, what does the cash register usually sit on? Jewelry display counter, right? Absolutely. There's a huge demand for the product. 80 to $100 billion worldwide, $30 billion in North America alone. That's about $87 million a day in sale of fine jewelry. That's $57,000 a minute in the sale of fine jewelry. It's a huge industry. And so we have just scratched the surface with it. Here at JewelWay International, we're marketing now about $8 million a month in product. That's what we did last month. And so the opportunity for us, for you to have your own business and share the opportunity and share the product. But you see, it's actually safer to acquire fine jewelry from JewelWay International than it might be from the local department store or jeweler. Because you might think to yourself, well, I know a wholesaler in the jewelry industry. I can get some good value from he or she. You see, and that's fine. Because if you make an acquisition of any piece of jewelry anywhere else, that's what you have just acquired is a piece of jewelry, no more. That acquisition of jewelry, whether it be for yourself, a gift, or for resale from JewelWay International, and in doing so as an independent representative, now you have pride of ownership as a business. So now not only do you have the product, but you have some benefits that go with that, because that will earn you sales increments. It gives you pride of ownership of a business. That can give you some tax deductions. April 15th was just here, and it came and gone. Many of you might have written a check. So you see, as an independent representative, now you own your own business. You're in the people business. So you could have taken some deductions such as the fuel just driving to this presentation, coffee, lunch, meals, travel. There's additional deductions that can be had there. So somebody says, well, my friend's got some great value in that ring over there, and I found it at a little better price. I said, no, it's not a better price. They said, yes, it is. I saw it at maybe a little better price. And I said, well, that's what you would give us a ring. But here, from JewelWay, not only do you have a ring, but you have a business that gives you benefits. And I'm told that the average tax saving in the industry is about $1,500 a year in just partially working the business, even if you don't do much with the business. And so therefore, there's some benefits there. But the product's ideal in many reasons, and it's safer, because when's the last time that you walked into a department store or any type of jewelry store and the gold items are showing the gram weight? Usually there's just a piece of the price tag, right? Look in our catalog, and all the gold items, you'll see the exact gram weight, you know, just what you're getting. They look at the stones, it identifies the color, the cut, the clarity of the stones. You see, so you know just what you're getting. A 30-day exchange policy, a lifetime warranty against manufacturing defects. And that's all available. Look at page 1 on the catalog. Now, I encourage you to take a look at the catalog. Look for yourself. Beverly understood this much faster than I did. I looked at this, and I'm getting excited about the opportunity and what it can do for ourselves and our family. She grabbed that catalog and said, great, Greg, get as many sales increments as you want, just give me the catalog. Beverly is definitely a product of the product. I mean, I get concerned for her. She wears so much of the product that she fell in the pool, she'd go right to the bottom. She would. Absolutely. And so, hopefully, I can share with you this evening how some of the pieces of the puzzle will fit together. You know, because it takes a clear picture of all the elements. And so, it's not about one person doing a lot, it's about many people doing a little bit that adds up to a lot. And hopefully, if you understood this concept of leverage, and you can see by introducing a few individuals, your business can grow internationally. How you may introduce a friend right here in Eugene, and that friend introduces a friend in Florida, who introduces a friend in California, who introduces and sponsors somebody in Hawaii, and then Canada. Now you've got businesses in all of those states. And you don't have to monitor it, the company does all that, and they ship the product and calculate the bonus checks. All you have to do is do what you do best, just like you did with Jurassic Park. Just share something good with a friend. You know, it's amazing when you start asking people questions. You know, as children, we used to dream. And we would dream about, what we want to do, have, and be. But as we grow up and become adults, then we start to realize, well, this is what life has dealt us. And I'm here to say that's not the case. I'm here to say here's a way to dream again just a little bit. I was talking to a gentleman, and he just loved golf. I mean, whenever he could, he was on the golf course. He just loved it. And to a point where he would just love to go pro. And I said, why don't you? And he said, well, I can't. I'm working a job to make ends meet. And he said, I don't even have enough time to get on the course to practice. And I said, do you see here, if you built an organization, and with the help of the upline team, let's say that you were earning $22.50 a week from that top sales increment. If you knew you had that coming in every week, would you need your job? He said, no, I wouldn't need my job. If I knew I had that coming in every week, I'd quit in a heartbeat. I'd spend my time on the golf course. I said, okay, do it. And I said, well, then there's your reason for the business right there. And somebody else said, boy, I just love fishing and boating. Well, why don't you spend all your time fishing and boating? Well, I can't. I got to work. Well, then, why not build an organization so you can do what you want? There's no law or rule that says you got to work 40 hours a week for 40 years for a $40 watch. Especially when you buy the same watch here for $30. Sure. It is a real business, and it's valid. But there are some obstacles that we all run into. Does anybody have any know-it-all friends? Sure. Building an organization is really just educating people to a misunderstood method of distribution and the company and the product and how it all fits together. And so what happens is, let's say for the business owners, if you put your time and energy into opening your business, and if the first 3 customers came into your store, and if they didn't accept your service or product, you're probably not going to say, well, I can't do this, I'm going to quit. But I'm going to be real straightforward. What happens here, and many times in network distribution, many people go out and get someone's opinion. They see this. Your mind's thinking right now of people that you want to show this business to. Boy, I can think of Ben and Bill and Sam and Fred and Mary. And you're going to run after them and try to get their opinion. And that can be sometimes asking a plumber for medical advice. Or asking your mechanic for legal advice. Because we're going to a friend that knows nothing about the industry of network distribution. Certainly nothing about JewelWay International. And the long-term commitment and the founders of the company and what's happening in the vision and what's happening. We're now we're in the top 10 retailers of fine jewelry in North America. We're a member of the Jewelers Board of Trade, and we're just getting started. But that friend, if they don't give you the positive response you're expecting, then you may let it go before you get started. I've seen it happen. And I want to caution you, though, don't reject what you've seen here tonight. Research it, and I mean that sincerely. The closer you look at the opportunity, the better it looks. Because even though that friend may not give you that positive response, and that excitement that's here could be knocked right down to here, recognize that that friend is not going to put your kids through college. That friend is not going to make your mortgage payments, is not going to make your car payments, not going to make your house payments. Those, unfortunately, are left up to you. And so sometimes it takes a little self-evaluation with what you're currently doing. Will you be any better off 2 years from today? Are you any better off now than you were 2 years from today? And so, many times somebody once told me that opportunity doesn't always come in a form or fashion that we expect. Now, some years ago, with my background, I was driving a pickup truck of blue jeans. I'm much more comfortable working out of my house in blue jeans than I am out here with the coat and tie. I mean, it's a home-based business. It's fun. And my background was agriculture. But somebody said that, and it kind of hit me. Opportunity doesn't always come in a form or fashion that you expect. And that made sense to me. It made a lot of sense to me. And times are changing, though. You see, we see that change happening all the time. You know, parents want their sons and daughters to marry a professional, right? Want your son and daughter to marry somebody so they can take care of you, marry that doctor, marry that attorney. But times are changing. You see, it won't be long before you'll be wanting those sons and daughters to marry somebody with a large network in jewelry. Because once you develop that organization, it can give you the freedom. Now, there's a couple of other benefits I haven't even shared with you. We have a Club Med incentive. We have an auto allowance program. And there are people here tonight driving brand new automobiles of their choice that JewelWay International is paying for it. They make the payments on it. You can have the same thing. And it doesn't have to be an auto. It can be whatever you want. It can be a car, a boat, a plane, a train, whatever your heart desires. There were some of the farmers in Canada, they said, can I buy a tractor? Sure, you can get a tractor. And so find out about the auto incentive program. We have a wonderful, I don't know last time you were on a good vacation? Well, we have a Club Med vacation incentive, and where you can go on an all-expense-paid trip to any Club Med of your choice. You don't win it, you earn it. And it's real simple. You set yourself up in the business, and you can earn that trip to an all-expense-paid trip to Club Med, and JewelWay makes the payments, and it's great. And what's so great about it? Raise your hand. You just went on Club Med? Oh, great. May I ask, where'd you go? Oh, she just won the trip. She hasn't taken it yet. Oh, I see. She said she's waiting to find out what country's going to open so she can take her Club Med trip. Very good. Very good. But the great thing about the Club Med trip is you take your cell phone with you when you go. Take your cell phone with you, and when you're sitting there on the beach, you call the office, and when they answer the phone, you just laugh and hang up. Sure. And with the, the auto program, I know that Rich and Mary, they picked me up in a brand new four-wheel drive that they have, and I know we have some. Raise your hand if many of the people here are auto qualified here. Oh look, we've got dozens of people around the room. JewelWay, they've auto qualified. Okay? So if you've got a car that's smoking going down the road, good. So if you've got a car that's smoking going down the road, two pistons fighting for the same hole, take a look and see how you can be driving an all-expense-paid car from JewelWay. And you know what? The people that are introducing you, they want to help you get that car, I promise you. They want to help you earn that Club Med trip, I promise you. But a lot of times fear is what holds us back. Fear. You're thinking of people right now, but you're thinking, oh, I don't know, can I do this? What are my friends going to think? Anybody else think like that? I know I did. Because we live in a society where we seek approval. When we're children, we seek approval from our parents. As we grow older, we seek approval from our teachers. Then we seek approval from our employers. Then we get involved in a business that's misunderstood, and if we don't get the positive response, then we don't like that feeling. And so, I just feel like I'm on a crusade to educate people to this business, because I'm doing somebody a favor every time I share this with them. As you develop your belief, you can take this to the most successful person you know, and know what you have to share with them is more powerful than what they're doing. Because when they stop working, they stop getting paid. Once you develop an organization, you can create residual income, and residual income brings freedom. Because no longer are your day-to-day efforts necessary in the creation of your income. Beverly and I have really done little or nothing to our two foundation legs over the past couple of years. But it continues to bring us that sales bonus of $22.50 a week, every single week. Now, you may find this hard to believe now, but there will come a time when you're barely squeaking by on $22.50 a week. I can attest to that. There are some people in the room that can attest to that. So, Wanda here, she was actually pretty sharp in her decision. Because see, the same sales volume is flowing right up through the left leg of all these other sales increments here. Remember, each sales increment has two legs, and it takes activity and volume on two legs. When was the last time you could do half the work and get paid the same amount of money? You see? So whenever Wanda is ready and she finds she's just squeaking by on $22.50 a week, she can come over here and develop this other leg and now be earning that same income from that sales increment. And if that's not enough, she can come over here and develop this other leg and earn from that sales increment. And do the same on all these other legs. And she can decide when she wants to call it quits or retirement. And that's exciting. That's exciting. The amazing thing about this is the company's aware of it. The company's aware of it. But you might see this here tonight and say, well, this is all well and good, but it's just not for me. You know what? That's okay. That's okay. But thank the person that invited you here tonight because they were thinking of you. They truly were. They were thinking of you. And but I have some fear. I have some fear in what may happen because I've seen it happen. You may say, well, timing's not right for me, or I don't know, that's just not for me, I'm not going to do it. And that's all right. But you may see your friend a year from now and say, oh, Wanda, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a year. Wanda, what's going on with your life? You still doing that JewelWay thing, Wanda? Well, really, how's it going for you? You made what? You made $20,000 last month? Excuse me, well, I go split a vein. It's going to happen. And it's been said that we have two chances or two times in our life where when we're introduced to an opportunity that can make a change in our life and create some financial security. And if you're over 40, I'm convinced you've already missed one. So you decide if it's the first or the second. And you've all heard the stories, too, about the grandparents. Lost opportunity stories, right? They'll tell you the stories about, oh, I remember when that was a dirt road over there. I remember when the big mall went up and we had a chance to buy that property and didn't do it. I remember when we had a chance to buy this stock at $1 and it went up to $10. People are going to do the same thing. Gosh, I remember back in 1995, I sat in this JewelWay presentation. Boy, I wish I'd have paid a little more attention. And so, you know, but it's real and it's valid. And I wish I could impress from you. And don't make your decision based on me. You might think, who is this tall guy talking fast? I'm just the messenger. And besides, if you think I talk fast, what do you meet Beverly? She'll dust up to 200 miles an hour. But it's real and it's valid and it can make a change in your life. And I encourage you to take a close look. And I know that it's cramped. I know that it's been warm. But I encourage you to also stay. We're going to take a short break in a moment after I call some people up. And then we're going to do a short training. But if I could have Bob Burke come up and Tanya Hopkins and Jenny Melton, George Hodge and Michelle Erickson, would you mind coming up and just taking a moment and sharing with everybody what you've experienced with the JewelWay? And I butchered some of those names, I apologize.
You did.
Well, I must confess, the only reason I'm really up here is I want to shake hands with Greg.
Oh, forget that. There we go.
And hello, friends, family. Glad we're all here together enjoying this experience. I just wanted to share with you real quickly why I'm in JewelWay and what I saw in the opportunity. I graduated from college a few years back and went straight into a full-time career in retail. Worked 50 hours plus every week, made a decent salary, and finally after 9 years of that I said, enough's enough. I want to be home with the kids. I need the time. Family's more important than the career. So I left that job and am now currently working part-time in the baking industry. Enjoying that. I've met some great people and have a lot of fun. But what I've discovered now is I don't have the income I used to have, and I've got all this wonderful time, but not enough financial ability to do what I really like to do. And when some family members of mine introduced me to this opportunity, my dreams started bouncing around again, and I realized this could be the opportunity for me to realize some of these dreams. And what the heck? So here I am, having a great time, spending a lot of quality time with family members and friends, and enjoying myself. The most rewarding part of it, however, has been that now I've been in the business for 5 months, and I've received some paychecks, but I'm seeing people in my downline receive paychecks, and that is rewarding. And I wish all of you well, and it was a pleasure to be here with you this evening.
I'm George Hope, and I'm from Springfield. I'm a service manager for Lexus. And give you a hint how I got involved in JewelWay. Over the last year and a half, I've seen a half a dozen people come in and get a $60,000 car. It took me a little while. I met Ken and Carol, one of the first people in Oregon in JewelWay, and I shined them on. And the next people I kind of, I shined them on. Well, I'm not shining them on anymore. I've seen too many people that have been very successful at this. And my wife and I got involved around Christmas Eve. We became platinum yesterday. We wouldn't be taking a trip to Disneyland this year. We've been wanting to for the last 3 years. We couldn't do it. We can now. So we're very happy with it.
My name is Bob Burt. I come from Lebanon, the Oregon capital of JewelWay. I'm a retired school teacher, and I was awfully glad to hear Greg say that it was human nature to be skeptical. Because if anyone was skeptical, he stands right here tonight. In fact, Ken Long approached me about a year before I finally decided that this was something that maybe I ought to get serious and take a look at. And had it not been for my wife, I probably wouldn't have then. But for you people who are in that same boat, don't give up and hang in there. I was not looking for another job. I was trying to get rid of one, and I was ready to retire. But this became so exciting to me to be able to work with a lot of neat people. And I had the perfect end, because as I was getting ready to retire, people would ask me, what are you going to do with your spare time? Guess what I told them? I have something to share with you that I'm going to do. So it was a perfect opportunity, and it was a perfect time to do that, and I've certainly not regretted it. Greg also mentioned that sometimes we have to be brave and we have to take a step in a different direction to kind of change our lives. And we can try harder, and we can try harder and harder at what we're doing, and still we might not be making strides in the right direction. But I read in a network marketing magazine a little saying that I think really applies to this business well, and especially to you people who are guests here tonight. And the saying said that if you continue to think like you've always thought, you'll continue to get what you've always got. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gina Milton. I'm from Corvallis, Oregon. And my friend drew me into this. I didn't really want to. She said, sign this paper. It'll cost you nothing. So I trusted her. And that was in October of '93. I didn't do anything for a whole year. And in October of '94, my girlfriend says, you've got 10,000 people on you underneath your left leg. So I thought, well, I better take a look at this. So I think what I'm saying to you is, even if you're not really sure that you want to get involved, get your reservation in, because it's going to go with us or without us. And it is fun. It's a teamwork. You get to be with your friends. You meet new friends. It's fun. It's exciting. You have a reason for extra living and fun. And I don't know, it's just so fun. And it's just so neat to see everybody here. And thanks for listening to me.
Hi, my name is Tanya, and I'm from Albany, and I'm a debt collector by profession. I kind of want a career change. However, my mom doesn't like that because I work for her in her 30-year-old business. But the motivation behind this for me, and I have to tell you that I'm so new that I haven't got my jewelry yet. It's on order. So we signed the order form and the rep agreement on the 14th of this month. And my motivation is 4 months old. He was born, he's my first child. And like any good mother, I bought a picture. If you want to see it closer, you just have to be after this. My second motivation is this, and for those in the back, it's a Lexus key ring that I borrowed from Ken and Karen Long. And when I heard that I could hear a presentation that could give me a free Lexus and some nice jewelry, I was there. And I'm going to put my family on the spot because in the last 2 weeks, we've all become involved in JewelWay. So I want to show you how it's happened in the last 2 weeks. My mom, Georgia, will you stand up? My mom was sponsored by Sue. Sue, will you stand up? My mom sponsored my sister Angie. Angie, stand up. I'm the oldest child, so I can tell what to do. Well, because she's the baby, we let her go first, and she sponsored me. And I'm next in line. And then I sponsored my brother Bilby. He sponsored my brother Jason. Jason sponsored his friend Eric. And my husband Tavita, he's along for the ride. last 2 weeks, I've met the most wonderful people, Randy and Jana Cox and Kenny Karen Long and Marion Rich Smith, that are wanting us to succeed and be prosperous, and I'm very grateful for their help and support. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And so anybody can do this business. Will everybody do it? No, not everyone's going to do it. You see, it can be done. It's simple. You think, well, I can't do a presentation. You don't have to. If you can share a video with a friend, you can be successful. And how difficult can that be? Share a video with a friend. If you can invite a friend to regular presentations throughout the area or anywhere within the country, then we have them. Just invite them to see a presentation, see the opportunity. Or just set appointments. Set appointments for the team that would like to help you. And that's the way to learn the business. Just set an appointment for them and have them share the business with your friend. And then as it goes, you'll develop and learn the business. It's just doing simple things over and over again. I know you can do it. And anybody can do it. And you'll do it if you see that the value is in the business. And so rather than tell you what you want to hear, I'm not going to do that. I'll be real straightforward and tell you what it's going to take. And that is this. If you were to take some time to say, okay, what could this do? What could residual income do for myself and my family? And understand developing 2 foundation legs. And maybe it takes you 12 months. Maybe it takes you 24 months. Maybe it takes you 36. Maybe it takes you 48 months. Even if it took you 48 months of part-time effort to earn that kind of income, just from building 2 foundation legs, knowing that it was going to be there every week, would it be worth it? And so, here's what it takes. You'll need to make a 12 to 18 month commitment to the business. Part-time, 7 to 10 hours a week. And it's a real business. It's real. So you spend some money on some sales days, you spend some money on some long-distance phone calls. And you may be very good at what you do, but I'm going to say allow yourself to be coachable. Because you have a team that wants to coach you and help you. And I wasn't coachable at first. I was out there trying to do everything my way. And so allow yourself to be coachable. Absorb the information, gain the knowledge, plug into the presentations and trainings. But not everybody you show it to is going to see it or accept it. Not everybody that gets involved is going to make a commitment broad enough to see that success. And that's what it takes. 12 to 18 months, 7 to 10 hours a week, on a part-time serious commitment. And you will see that success. I promise you will. And what happens is when the part-time income starts to exceed the full-time income, then that's an exciting proposition. And it's amazing what happens to your belief level as those bonus checks start coming. But as you develop the business, please don't let anybody steal your dream, because someone will try. People will try to tell you all the reasons why something won't work. They don't know anything about it. And I'm told that your income is going to be the average of your 5 best friends. So when I understood that, I thought one of 2 things. I need to get my friends in the business and bring their income up. And some didn't see it. I found some new friends. I got a whole bunch of friends right here. Because you're going to make friends as you develop your business. You may sponsor somebody here who sponsors somebody you don't know in Florida, who sponsors somebody you don't know in California, and you're working close with that person over the phone, and you become best of friends. I've seen it happen all the time. And we're open in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico's right close to the Caribbean. It's beautiful down there. So, if you've got friends in Puerto Rico, let's please get it going. I'd love to go do a corporate training there. and so it's a real business. Now, but I'm going to really trim it back. Let's say that even if you were just earning an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a year, would that make a difference in your life? Just an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a year. Because our typical representative that's really not putting much into the business is earning $2,000 to $3,000 a year. And that much in itself can make a difference. They say money can't buy happiness, and I somewhat disagree with that. I really do. And I say that because it's not about the money, it's about the freedom it brings. But, I've had with and without, and it's much better with. Look at a child's eyes during the holiday season on Christmas morning and see if that makes a difference. And it does. But it also brings security and a sense of well-being. And just a sense of well-being and the growth and development of helping your friends. Whenever you do something good for somebody, do you feel good about it? Just anything. Little things that take place, you feel good about it. Well, that's the way I've developed with this business. I just feel good about sharing something good with people. And that's what your friend is thinking of you tonight. That's why you invited you here. I want to thank everybody for taking their time to be here. And if we could, what do you say we take a 10 or 15 minute break to cool off? And we'll see if we can't get some more cool air in the room here. But please come back and join us in 10 or 15 minutes because I'm going to take some time and share with you just how to build a network. See you back here in a minute.
The applause was thunderous. We were off and running.
Last spring, hundreds of TBN partners went on a journey to Russia with love. What will happen this year?
Russia, repent. Russia, turn to God. Russia, God.
Experience too. And that is when I first got involved in network distribution, my first introduction was not with the JewelWay opportunity. I built a network and studied the industry and worked with some other companies and opportunities. And I have such a strong belief for the industry. And I think we should all be an ambassador to the industry and not only give respect to the entire industry, but you know, many times you run into a friend or a co-worker and they're involved with another opportunity or another company, and many we have a tendency to say, oh, that's no good, let me show you mine. And I think we only hurt ourselves and hurt the industry when we do that. But when I first got involved in network distribution, I still remember my friend had sponsored me in the business, and he had similar materials. We had a starter pack and some audio cassette tapes, and he said, Greg, he said, I listened to these audios, read this training manual, and I'll see you at the next presentation. And I did. And I went through that. I could just about tell you what you experienced when you went through that training manual. You open it up, the first page, what is this focus page? Now, if I have all the income I wanted, what would I do different in my life? Okay, where's the secrets in this thing? Goal setting, I know all about that. I don't need to do that. Okay, how to invite? I know how to invite. Gosh, I talk to my friends all the time. Answering objections or considerations, boy, that doesn't make sense to me. I can't say or do those things. It doesn't sound like me. And so you blast through that starter pack with not internalizing the information that's given to you in the training manual. And then you listen to the audio cassette tapes and you hear more of the same meeting etiquette, how to invite, answering questions, objections, considerations, and that type of stuff. And then you set out to go do it your way. Because that's just what I did. And so I went through that material, and after about 6 weeks, I came back to Beverly and said, oh, this network stuff just doesn't work. And she said, what do you mean? And she said, well, you know, I saw it, I got excited, I lost sleep over it, yet I go to my friends, and they don't show up at the presentation. Anybody invited guests that didn't show up? Yeah. Or, you know, the business is so wonderful, my friend says, what is it? And boy, I try to explain it over the phone, and they say they'll try to be there, and they don't show up, and they're not seeing the excitement. It's just, they're not seeing what I've seen here. And Beverly said, well, Greg, why don't you follow the steps in that training manual and on those audios? I said, oh, I've read that stuff. It's all basic stuff. That's fourth grade stuff. I can't say or do that. It doesn't sound like me. And she said, well, Greg, it seems to me so far you've made no income. The guy that put that together is making about $40,000 a month. It doesn't make sense to follow the steps. So it was then that I decided to be coachable. And I'm going to reach out to you and ask, you may be very good at what you do in your current profession, but I'm going to also ask that you allow yourself to be coachable, because anything that you can think of in building an organization has already been thought of and already been tried. Because you yourself and many people in your network are going to say, well, great, I'm going to run this advertisement. I got this connection with cable television. We're going to put it on cable TV. And you come up with all these ideas. But, you know, it's not duplicatable. And, you know, if JewelWay wanted to market its product through cable television or advertisements, they would. But the key to success is creating duplication. And that can work for you or against you. And that's why it's important to learn some basic things. There is no magic pill. Building a network is really just sharing your story with somebody, and then sharing your story, showing the opportunity, and following up with them, and doing it over and over and over again. But there are some things that you can get to your destination a little quicker by learning how to communicate, relate to people, and share the opportunity. We're going to talk about some of the common mistakes. We'll spend a little bit of time on the compensation plan, and I'll try to cover as much ground as possible. One of the things I first want to touch on is this entire business is done on really a couple of pieces of paper: a representative agreement and a fine jewelry order form. But you'll be amazed at how many ways there are to make a mistake on those pieces of paper. I see stuff that comes into the office that is incomplete and incorrect placement information, etc. That's why it's important to understand the compensation plan and understand the paperwork before you send it in. Double check it, work with your upline, because what will happen is a simple mistake on a placement issue, a simple math mistake on a form of payment, something of that nature. Can slow some things down, can create some headaches, and there's nothing worse than that with that new representative, and all of a sudden an order is held up because of any number of mistakes that might be made and can take place. And so I just want to encourage you, and you have great leadership throughout the area. Plug into the presentations, and I know at the basic trainings they go over the paperwork. I'm really not going to do that tonight, but understand the paperwork. I've made mistakes on it. I think if you were to ask every leader here in this room, they'll tell you they've made mistakes on it. And so it's easy to do. Now, there's several assignments that I work with new representatives. I want to share some of those with you. And to eliminate some simple mistakes in paperwork even, we simply need us understanding our compensation plan. And I could go through the compensation plan a dozen times and you still won't fully understand it. Last night I used permanent ink on that, I couldn't erase it. Grabbed the wrong pen. But I could go through it a dozen times and it still might not click as if you had taken up 15 minutes and do something for yourselves. And I'm going to suggest that when you go home tonight or tomorrow, draw an imaginary organization showing how 6 people will earn sales bonus, each one in a different leg, but all flowing up to one leg for you. And when you start to take the time to do this, utilize your friends and say, okay, now if I sponsor Bob in the business over here, and Bob introduces his friend, and recognize that everybody has 2 foundation legs, you'll see how that can grow and take on a life of its own. And you never know where the strength is going to come from. You'll always have one leg that will take off faster than another, it seems like. Duplication more so on one leg than another. And I was talking to an individual about a month ago, and she was very distraught. And she was distraught, and I said, why are you bothered? And she says, well, Greg, it's just not working for me, and I can't. And I said, well, wait, slow down a minute. Just tell me what's going on. When did you get involved in the business? Well, I've been involved for a couple of months. 3 months to be exact. I said, what's happening with your organization? She said, well, I've got one leg that's just taken off and duplicating, but my upline made a bunch of promises to me, and they didn't build the other leg for me. And I said, let's stop right there for a moment, because let's learn from that mistake. Your upline shouldn't have said that. If they've indicated they're going to build a leg for you, you see, if you have one leg that's growing and duplicating, that same volume is flowing up to them, and so they may be working on their other leg. And so with that, then please understand they made the mistake in saying that. Yes, they got a sponsor means responsibility, and that's something we should all take to heart. As a representative, as you sponsor somebody, that means you've taken on responsibility. And it's your responsibility to train, work, duplicate, and support those individuals. But if we went out to everybody to get in the business, I'll build one leg for you, you can't build a leg for everybody. You can create a team growth effort, but you see, as you start to draw this out, you never know where the strength is going to come from. I'll share with you something here. Let's say that from somewhere through here, there's 36 plus flowing right through here, right back up to you. This is just taken off. These other tributaries off these foundation legs, let's say that they're not fully developed, they're just kind of growing, but most of the people aren't making a commitment. If from that you have 36 plus and 3 people earning sales bonus, then do you have incentive to be working anywhere over here on this other side? No, not really. Because it takes 2 legs to earn the income. You make commitment to those you sponsor first. Those individuals you personally sponsor, you have responsibility for, and you keep those commitments. But you see, let me ask you a question. If there's 36 plus flowing through there, that's coming up to the left leg for this person. Does this individual up here, do they have incentive to be working with the people over on this right side? Absolutely. Now, let's say that, let's look at this individual right here. Does this individual have incentive to be working with these people down here? Absolutely. And so as you draw an imaginary organization and draw it out to where you can show 6 people earning bonus, you'll start to see how it can grow and develop and get a better understanding of that. And it's like a light coming on. You'll wake up in the middle of the night about 2 in the morning and say, oh, I got it. And then when it happens, call your sponsor about 2 in the morning. I got it. I understand. And so understanding the compensation plan is really just taking some time. You can actually take you can take a weekend and know all the mechanics there is to know about building the business. But it's the you part and the people part that takes time to develop. I find that it takes many times 6, 8 to 12 months just to get our belief level up where it should be. Because we get involved in the business, and what will happen is there's that little person on your shoulder and that subconscious back there that tries to hold you back a little bit. And, oh, maybe this isn't going to work out for me. And I think you can ask every single leader and successful individual in this room. There wasn't a time when they got involved, but at some point in time they didn't have just a little bit of misgiving about their decision. Well, I don't know if this is going to work for me. But you see, they all worked their way through it. They all worked their way through it. And one of the first keys to success is to really understand why you're in the business and what you want from it. Now that sounds pretty basic, but there's a reason in the corporate training manual that the first page is, the first portion is what we call a focus portion. So that you can take the time to focus on what you want to have, do, be, and accomplish in building your organization. Because unless you know what you want from your business, and unless you have taken the time to define what you want to accomplish, then you're kind of on a road to nowhere. And you might get there. It's kind of like taking an arrow and shooting it up in the woods and hoping something runs into it. And everybody's ambitions might be just a little bit different. But the key thing is to define that. Define what it is you want to have, do, and be and accomplish from the business. And then the next thing we have to do is this very second section in the corporate training manual is goal setting. Now you've heard about goal setting until you're blue in the face. You've read about it, you've heard about it, you'd be surprised how many people don't do it. Do you believe the mind can make you sick? Do you believe the mind can make you healthy again? Therefore, do you believe the mind can make you wealthy? Sure it can. There's something magic about taking the time to not only define what you want, but then set a course of action and put time frames to it to obtain that. And goal setting is really just defining what you want, and then setting goals must be specific and also have a deadline to them. It's not a goal if somebody simply says, well, I just want to make plenty of money. That's a wish. And so once you do that, I was kind of an analytical type myself. And that is, I thought to myself, okay, if I want to sponsor 25 people in the business, then I might have to show 100. And I was just kind of analytical with this, and I thought, if to sponsor 25, I might have to show 100 people the business. So if I show one person a week, there's 52 weeks in a year, it's going to take me 2 years to show 100 people the business. And once I looked at that, I thought to myself, I didn't want to wait 2 years. So I just picked up the pace. So when I started to set my goals, I wanted to start showing people the business at a pace of about anywhere from 3 to 5 people a week. And we were doing that or more in the beginning. When we started this business, we started with 5 people on the living room couch. And I actually learned to involve my family in the goal setting process as well. Beverly and I sat down and we made some real commitments. Because Monday night, our first presentation, we had 5 people on the couch and we did a presentation. And then after that, we did it again on Wednesday. So if those people liked it, they could invite a guest, and we invited some more. Then I did it again on Thursday, so if the people on Monday and Wednesday liked it, they could invite a guest, and we invited some more. We were doing presentations in our home for 3 nights a week, and we were doing that in our home for 7 months. 7 months. And my heart was broken one time when my youngest daughter came to me, and she was just kind of maybe had a bad day at school, and she said, "Oh, Dad, are you doing another meeting again?" And she wanted me to read a bedtime story. And my heart was just broken. I thought, yes, I've got to do the presentation. And here I was sacrificing a little time with my daughter for the presentation. It was then I realized to involve the family in goal setting. So the next day or the next evening then, we sat down and with the $2 and said, here's why Mommy and Daddy are doing the business. Here's the commitment we're making. But here's why we're doing the business. And involve them in that. And involve them in the goal setting. In the reward process also. And so I told Sheena and Paige, my 2 daughters, when Mommy and Daddy reach this particular point with our goals, then we're going to Disneyland and you get new bicycles. Now at that point in time, then the kids were pushing us. Oh, Dad, why don't you do another meeting? Now with spouses, bicycles, and Disneyland doesn't work, but fur coats and cars do. And so, as simple as this may sound, a lot of people just aren't taking the time. Then Much of what I'm going to share with you, and there's no magic pills, you've all heard before. Many of you have heard it before because it's in the materials and on the literature, but another common mistake that I didn't do and many don't do is simply make a list of names. The first time you see a presentation, you think of 5 or 10 people you want to show it to. That might be the extent of your list. But there's a psychological reason that you want to take the time to make a list of names. And the purpose of the list is not for you to decide who might be interested in the business. Because I did that, and you did too. I thought, no, they wouldn't be interested, they're pretty successful. These people, I'm kind of frightened to go to them. I don't know what they're going to think of me. So what I was doing was editing my list. And if you edit your list, you'll edit your success. So the purpose of the list is forget about the business. Forget about it. It's just an exercise to write down every name and phone number you can think of, people you went to school with, grew up with, in your wedding, neighbors, people you work with, and just make the list. You'll be surprised how many people you know. Because later, as your belief level continues to grow, well then in your heart you know you can take the business to anybody, because what you have is you're doing them a favor. But in the beginning you don't know that. You have some fear there. And so, as simple as that may sound, a lot of people, the first stumbling block is just defining what you want, putting time frames with some goal setting. The most successful people in the world utilize goals. They all do. It's a process that's magical. One of the best books in the world to read on this process is a book that was written about 75 years ago by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. How many people have read that? Excellent. Excellent. That book changed our lives when I first read that book. It will give you a course to set for goal setting. And it just opened my mind. And one of the... did anybody lose sleep over this opportunity? Okay. Okay. Would you agree then if you lost some sleep over the opportunity, other people will? Did you lose sleep thinking about our fine product, the rings, bracelets, necklaces, and earrings? Oh, you lost sleep over what's in it for you, right? You lost sleep over seeing how duplication can create an organization that can continue to grow and create residual income that can bring you freedom and lifestyle, right? Sure. And so other people do also. If that's what you lost sleep over, does it make sense to learn how to communicate that then? Right? And so I find that it was the concept of leverage that I lost sleep over. It was understanding what this meant that I got excited. Understanding how the growth related to movement of product. But yet I see many people in the beginning attempting to share the opportunity with friends. They only spend about 45 seconds on this concept of leverage. How many times have you heard a friend say, oh yeah, I know how that works. You know, oh, I've seen those numbers. We've all seen how numbers grow. But I purposely, when I show leverage, there's several things I do, and most of you know this. Is it, as I was doing the presentation tonight, do you remember when I said, let me share with you how $1 million in product can move in your business? And to do that, you build a network of 1,000 people to do $1,000 in business. Simple math, $1 million in product moves. Now what does most people think right then? 1,000 people? I don't know 1,000 people. I can't build a network of 1,000 people. That's what everyone thinks. So now we turn around and say, but now let me show you what it's about. A right of empowerment. Ask a question. Do you think you can introduce just one person a month part-time? Does that sound unreasonable? Do you think you could introduce or sponsor one person a month for the next 12 months? Most of the time, your guest is going to say, yeah, I can do that. I'm already thinking of a few that might be interested. And so I slowly go through the process. I purposely don't count myself to give odd numbers instead of even numbers. Instead of giving 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, I just don't count myself. It shows 1, 3, 7, 15, 31. I do that on purpose so people start to say, now how do you write those stuff? How's that working out? I do that on purpose and I slow down on that and I reiterate that about 8 times. Because it's very believable when you start saying, let me show you how everyone has the right to offer the business to one person. And if you can teach one person a month to do the same thing. Now this is real basic, but you'll be surprised how many people can't share this. One of the assignments I work with new representatives is simply ask them, do you understand this concept of leverage and how it relates to the movement of product and leverage of time? They go, oh yeah, I understand it. That's why I lost sleep. And I said, would you agree it's important to communicate that? Yeah. Well, pretend like I'm a prospect. Would you take a moment and share that with me? And I think that's something that would help under basic trainings or do an assignment to simply be able to communicate leverage. Because it is simple, but unless you've done it a couple of times, most people can't do it. Anybody found that to be true? Sure. And so I reiterate about 8 times. Now, this month, 3 people are within the organization. Each one introduces one person, so 3 new people join the network. You sponsor 1, so now you have a total of 7. And so I just keep it so basic and continue to go over it about 8 times, hoping that how many times have you shown leverage and somebody says, well, that's all great, but who sells the product? Right? The reason that question is coming up because you haven't communicated the concept of leverage. You're not understanding that. But what has happened here as this grows is that in this example, and by the way, when I get down to 4,095, I actually make it more believable by saying, let's say your organization only grows 25% that. Let's say you only have 1,000 representatives in your organization or network. And if 1,000 representatives do $1,000 in business, do you see how $1 million in products sold? Okay? So when people say, well, who sells the product? You say, JewelWay sells the product. JewelWay sells the product. 1,000 of these representatives sold $1,000 in product. And $1 million is sold. Now, when I say sold that product, that is the product that moved away from JewelWay. Bonuses and commissions are only earned when the product is sold. Now, one of the reasons our product's an ideal product is because it creates volume. Now, $1,000, does somebody need $1,000 of personal care products? Not always. Most situations, not. But $1,000 of our product might mean a single tennis bracelet, right? I want to remind you all Mother's Day is coming up. And so relate how it relates to the movement of volume. Also relate to how it relates to leverage of time. If 1,000 representatives simply put an hour a day in the business, now you're benefiting from 1,000 hours a day. This is very basic, but this is what you want to share with your representatives or your new prospects. I also show it the difference between the comparison or duplication of 2 and 3, again, just to try to get inside their head. Because many times, no matter how you show it, if the mind's not open to receive it, they're not going to understand it. Not going to understand that. And one of the things I found is that when I first got involved in the business, I was so excited about it, I just wanted to sit down with somebody and start vomiting information out. Anybody else do that? Hey, let me show you this thing. And I start blasting through numbers and drawing a bunch of circles. That was one of the mistakes I made. One of the mistakes I find that many of us make is that we're not taking the time to simply slow down and ask some questions, even of our friends. And we just want to start pouring out information. And I think one of the best things you can do for your business that will make a change in your business is start asking more questions. And then simply ask, Mel, the reason I was thinking of you is because I see that you've worked hard for many years. At times you've told me how you were concerned about some of the security, and that you've mentioned that, it's not going to take you where you want to go. You even mentioned some of your dreams and ambitions. I've watched, Mel, how you enjoy boating so much. If there were a way, and that's a magical statement, if there were a way, or if you could find a way to spend all your time boating, that's something you want to hear about. Or when would you want to hear about it? Now you might think, well, that doesn't sound like me, I can't say that. You know what? It will sound like you if you just say it. Yeah, I promise you it will. And that's a very simple way of how to invite somebody. Just talk to people. As a matter of fact, many times we just have to forget about the JewelWay business, because when you're approaching a friend or meeting a stranger, for example, let's say you meet that stranger in a social setting or at the grocery store or something, and you think, boy, they might be good at JewelWay, and you wait for the right opportunity. It's like you're stalking them a little bit. And so you make just enough conversation where they say something like, what do you do? And then about that, oh, I'm in JewelWay, let me show you this. You grab the catalog and start sticking it in their face and it's just going 100 miles an hour. No. The best way to approach a stranger is just be their friend. The best way to be their friend is ask questions. Because when you ask questions, you're showing genuine interest in them. And people like to talk about themselves. In one of John Kalish's books, there's a great little story where it's talking about a psychologist that is flying from New York to Los Angeles. That's a 4-hour plane ride. He was asked to create conversation on that 4-hour plane ride, but not say a word about himself, not even his name. And so he just starts asking questions. The gentleman sitting next to him, he says, you going to Los Angeles on business or pleasure? Oh, really? What's your business? Are you from New York? Have you lived there long? And so you just start asking questions. And when you're doing that, you're showing genuine interest in them. And so when they landed in Los Angeles, they interviewed the gentleman sitting next to him. You know what he had to say about the psychologist? He said, "That's the most interesting person I've ever met." He didn't even say his name. And I think that's one of the things, and so especially with the stranger, you don't try to show the business on the spot by any means. What you do is forget about the business and think, how can I be their friend? That's all. And you be their friend by asking questions. And at that point in time, you might collect their card and get back with them and set an appointment. Set an appointment to show the business. Because it takes a good 45 minutes to an hour to expose the business. With a friend, you just call them up. You make a list of names, you prioritize your list, put the most successful people on the list, on the top of your list. It's your chicken list. And you'll have, the call that's the toughest to make where the phone is the heaviest, that's the best call to make. Because remember, I find that leaders spend more time building their own belief level than anything else. Working on their own belief level. And I'm going to ask that you be a student again. And there's several ways to learn this business. And that is studied knowledge, and that is activity knowledge, and applied knowledge, or model knowledge. Model knowledge. Studied knowledge is just being a student again. Absorb everything. When I first got involved in network marketing, I was struggling in the beginning. I went to a convention, and the convention's what turned me around. Because I saw people from all walks of life. Young, old, blue collar, white collar, male, female. It didn't matter the color of their skin or what their background was at all. I saw all kinds of people seeing success. And I thought, if they could do it, I could do it. What it did was bring my belief level up. And then, so the first thing is study knowledge. Absorb everything. Be a student of the industry. There's many great books out there. Future Choice by Michael Klaus regarding the industry to build your belief. Who Sold the American Dream by Bert Hedges. Then there's a new book out by John Milton Fogg. It's called Money, Money, Money. And at first I didn't like that title, but I realized who that book was addressed to at the beginning. I realized it wasn't addressed for the representative, it was addressed for the prospect. The title's strong enough to say, what's this about? And you open it up. That'll build your belief. And there's many good how-to books out there. Don Falia's book, John Kalish's book. Many of you have read some of those. But pass that on. Encourage others to be a student again as well. And take the time. That's study knowledge. And I was surprised to find that none of those materials are found in bookstores. Did anybody, when you first get involved in network marketing, go to a library and bookstore to try to find some materials? It's not there, is it? Yeah, it's just not there. So I tried to satisfy that need. I said, I'm going to create one, and that's how network production started. And so we started gathering some of the best materials that I liked. I've developed a huge library of different materials. And if you had $1 million business, would it be worth getting educated about it? Sure, absolutely. It's kind of like the way we treat our body at times. And that is that, let's see, if anybody have any racehorses here? Racehorse? Okay, now if somebody had $1 million racehorse, would you feed it coffee, feed it cigarettes, and give it hamburgers all day? Probably not. You wouldn't do that to $1 million racehorse. You probably wouldn't give it to a $10 dog or a $5 cat either, would you? No. Sometimes we pump our bodies full of that stuff, and I've been guilty of that myself. And so I share that with you, and getting off on a tangent as usual. I share that with you, but take and be a student of the industry. And then activity knowledge. That's what we have to learn from what we do. And activity can be the hardest thing to do sometimes, such as picking up the phone, making the calls, just simply inviting somebody to a presentation. But learn from doing that. I learned how to invite by listening to how to invite audio over and over again, just like side 2 of tape 1 of our audios. Practice it in my mind over and over. Every time I made a call, I thought, what could I have said or done a little bit different to improve on that? Then there was model knowledge. Model knowledge is seeking out what the successful people are doing and copying what they're doing. And many of you get disappointed when you ask, what are you doing special? And Ken, I just loved his story when he said one of the first times that I came up to Oregon was he came to this training waiting for a magic pill, and I just said, well, Ken, just tell your story, show the plan, and follow up. That's it. And that's it, just doing it over and over again. And so, how do you show the plan? There's 3 ways to expose the business. With a video, inviting to a presentation, and a 2-on-1 presentation. Now, I think that the 2-on-1 presentation, in my opinion, is one of the best ways to expose and share the business, because you're building and teaching at the same time. And let's say you're brand new in the business, you don't know what to say or how to do it. That's okay. You set appointments for your upline team members. so they can share and show the business with your friend. When I sponsor a new person, I don't really want that new individual trying to show the business to somebody. I'll teach them how to invite somebody to a presentation or teach them how to share a video, but I don't want them to sit down and share the business until they know how to do that. So I have them set appointments for myself, for all three of us. We'll set an appointment, coffee shop, restaurant, lounge, wherever. I try to get it, if the individual or friend we want to show it to, I try to get them out of their environment. When I say out of it, especially out of their office. If you're trying to show a busy professional in business and he's in the middle, he or she's in the middle of their office with all the distractions, so get a neutral place. But for the first 2 times, I showed the opportunity and they observed. The 3rd and 4th time, they participate. The 5th and 6th time, then they do the presentation and I observe. So now what I've done is duplicated myself. Because the business is 90% copy. Model knowledge is copying what the successful people are doing. And it's when someone years ago told me that success in network distribution was taking what the successful people were doing and copying them. 90% copy and 10% adding your own personality to it. And when I understood that, I thought I knew I was going to be a success. I got through school copying, I can do this business doing that. And so that's what it is. And so, even though it sounds pretty simple about sharing a video, I want to share with you some of the intricacies of just sharing a video with somebody. And that is that with the video, you either set an appointment to go with them or meet them. They come to your house and you go to their house to go show the video. If you're going to give them a video to watch it, then the mistake that most of us make is try to explain the business before we give the video. And with that, then they prejudge it, right? Because what happens when you go back to your office, or you see a coworker, friend, or neighbor, you call them up and say, oh, I've got this wonderful opportunity. We can settle retirement in the next 5 years here. You just got to see this. What's the first thing they say? What is it, right? I mean, if you're carrying this conversation with a coworker at your office, first thing they say is, what is it? It's right then that if you get into trying to explain the business on the spot, that there's no way you can give a clear picture of the business. Because what happens, people base their entire decision on if they can relate to the product, and they have to understand this first. You have to understand the concept of leverage. You all agreed earlier that this is what you lost sleep over right here, the concept of leverage. And so don't get upset with your friend when you start to say, oh, it's wonderful, it's JewelWay, it's jewelry, it's a different plan, you really like it. Because you see, they already have a preconceived idea of what they think it's about. I mean, for all you know, they might think, oh, jewelry, I can't relate to that. They think of a guy with a trench coat and a bunch of watches up his arm. You know? And so with the video, you just create, it's just like inviting, create curiosity and sense of urgency and give it and go. And that's it. And so I many times will put myself in a hurry. I might just say, Mel, I've run across something that's just the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. I said, I want to get your opinion on this. You got to see this. This thing is powerful. And, well, what is it, Greg? I said, Mel, I've got to run it. This is about 20 minutes long. Would you take a look at the video, or would you take a look at the video? I'll get back with you tomorrow on it. And it won't make any sense until the end of the video. And I say that on purpose. There's nothing special about the end. I just want them to watch it all. But I just give it and go. Because what happens if you start giving out too much information in the beginning, they'll prejudge it. The video sits right on top of the VCR, and what do you hear back from them? And you call them back. Oh, I've been so busy, I didn't have a chance to watch it, right? Sure, you hear that over and over again. So it's like inviting. Create curiosity, give it and go. It's like inviting to the group presentation. The group presentation is what I call the I believe portion of the business. Let's say you've done a 2-on-1 presentation with somebody and exposed the business, or you've exposed the business with the video. Then you always want to follow up and get the individual to the group presentation. That's the I believe portion. They may somewhat understand it in the beginning, but don't believe it. But when they walk into a room full of people, and it's, they're making their decision on the business based on the people. And if that's your presentation, it's upbeat, full of energy, starts on time, run professional, everybody's friendly, and sharing kind of a team spirit, well then, they're going to feel received and warm at that presentation. And that's the I believe portion. So 1-2 punch. 2-on-1, share video, give them the presentation. Or you can just invite directly to the presentation as well. And those are the 3 primary ways of exposing the business. On inviting, We have information on how to invite on side 1 or side 2 of tape 1. You've read that. We put it in journals before. Many of you have seen various things. You'll do the same thing I did on inviting. You'll say, oh, I can't say that. It doesn't sound like me. I feel like I'm deceiving my friends. Everybody felt that way? Or anybody felt that way? You see, the purpose of that and what's going through your mind is
50,000 into 300 million. Give me the figure while I'm don't try to figure.
And so, understand that if you feel like you're deceiving your friends on some of the methods I'm teaching how to invite, the true deception is trying to explain it in a few minutes over the phone. It can't be done. Because you can't, if you're new in the business, it's unlikely that you might be able to thoroughly communicate leverage, and that can be difficult to do over the phone. It can be done, but it can be difficult to do. And so, the purpose of the invitation is simply set the appointment. You're going to hear all the same questions. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, but you're going to hear people say, what is it? Is it selling? I'm too busy. It's my bowling night. You're going to have the know-it-alls that know everything about it. And you're going to run into people that have been involved in network marketing before and didn't see success. And I'll share with you how to approach that. And come from the heart. Because you may have a lot of friends that have been involved in another opportunity, but didn't take the time to understand it or make a commitment and let it go. So therefore, they didn't like that feeling, and they said, I don't want to have anything to do with network marketing. Anybody have any friends like that? Sure. So what you do is come from the heart. You call that individual up and just be real straightforward. And just say, Ben, I know you still have some of those water filters in the garage. I know what you think and feel about network marketing. I know you hate it, never want to hear or see about it again. But I'm calling you because I have found something unlike anything I've ever seen. And I'm not saying by any means it's something you should do. But as a friend, I see a way that you and I can have what we want. And I want to share it with you. Just straightforward as that. Just straightforward. But a lot of times you let your fear stop you, won't you? What are they going to say? What are they going to do? You see, remember, you're the one with the opportunity and you're doing them the favor. And that's why it's important to keep that belief level up. Because then you can go with the confidence to share that with them. And building a network is just educating people. You'll find that most people in other opportunities of network marketing, never really understand the concept to begin with. And so, take the time to simply learn how to invite. In doing that and inviting, get the commitment. I've learned that just a little commitment in inviting somebody is important. If I invited someone to the presentation, I invite about 3 to 4 days before. I never invite more than a week out. And then I always get a commitment. I'll say, well, great, Ben. I'll look forward to seeing you. Give alternative of choice. If you have areas where there's 2 presentations, say, well, good. What works best for you, Monday or Wednesday? And there's several ways to get a time commitment. Let's say you've invited 4 days before the presentation. You don't call them up the day before and say, hey, I just want to make sure you're going to be there, because it sounds like you want them to come take a look more for you than for them, right? Right? And so you simply call back up and just say, Ben, did I tell you 6:30 or 6:45? That's a simple way of giving a gentle reminder to the invite on the presentation. If you can, go pick them up. Many of you had guests that were invited that you could have picked up. Great, Ben, I'll just come by and pick you up. You're better going 10 miles out of your way to pick a couple of guests up and have them here. Because it doesn't take many duplicators to create success, so it's worth the drive. Answering objections or considerations. You're going to hear the same things over and over again, too, on objections or considerations. And that is something real simple, and I couldn't say this either. But simply use feel, felt, found. Let's say after the presentation you've shown your friend, and your friend is saying, well, Greg, who's going to buy jewelry in this economy? I just don't know that many people. I don't have enough time. You ever hear those things? Sure. You hear all the same ones over and over again. So you just respond with, Bill, I know how you feel. I felt the same way. But what I found was it doesn't take many people to develop an organization. Then go back and show them the concept of leverage. Whether they say, well, who's going to buy jewelry in this economy? Bill, I know how you feel. I felt the same way. But what I found was that the movement of product is created by educating people to the method of distribution. Here, let me go over that again. It's just a lack of understanding on their part. I mean, somebody can say, Greg, I don't like the opportunity. I don't even like the company. I don't even like you. I know how you feel.
You like me?
I might have felt the same way. But the opportunity is real, the company is solid, and I can help you see success in this business. And so that's something simple, but it works. I promise you it works. One of the biggest breakdowns in building a network is follow-up, actually lack of follow-up. How many people have noticed you're more confident talking to someone else's guest than your own? Isn't that amazing? I mean, someone else's guest, you can go to them and talk with all the confidence in the world, but then with your guest, you're just not as confident. Well, why don't you use that to your advantage in follow-up? That is where you can support by talking to other people's prospects or guests. And that is with three-way follow-up phone calls. It's what I call real-time duplication. You're teaching and building at the same time. How many people utilize three-way calling? Some of you, many of you. Oh, good. Excellent. So it's so powerful. And the reason you're frightened of it is because you haven't tried it. First thing you have to do is get it on your phone. It's about $4 a month. Just call the phone company. Don't think about it. Call the phone company tomorrow and say, I want three-way calling. And what that allows you to do is bring two people online. And here's how you use it on a follow-up. And here's the psychology of the follow-up. The follow-up phone call, most people, and many of you have done this, a friend has been to a presentation, you've shared a video with a friend or shared information with a friend, and then what happens? You wait for them to call you back, right? They don't call you back. And the reason you're waiting is because you have a bit of fear. You have a fear they might ask a question you can't answer, and you have a bit of a fear that they might not accept it even. And so it's that fear or lack of belief that's there a little bit. That's okay. And you're fearful that they might give you some rejection. This is where you use your upline as the barrier for rejection. And I'll just go through a simple call. Let's say that Pearl has just introduced Carol to the business, right? Yeah, right. Pearl's just introduced Carol to the business. And let's say then that Pearl's just going to leave a message on my service. Let's say Pearl's a new representative that I've sponsored in the business. And then I would just say, now Pearl, every time you show someone the business, I want you to let me know immediately. Not the next day or 2 days or 5 days, but you show that night, leave a message on the service that you share the business with a friend. Then I call Pearl on the phone, then Pearl in turn brings Carol on the phone. We're all three online because we all have three-way calling. The first thing that Pearl does is simply give respect by asking if we're calling at a good time. How many times has somebody called you in the middle of the evening, you're fixing dinner, trying to put the kids to bed or something, and they're talking 100 miles an hour, right? So just talking like I'm doing now. Just slow down a little bit. Just slow down a little bit and just say, we're all three online. And Pearl's going to say, well, Carol, this is Pearl, and I've got Greg online with me, or a friend, an associate online with me. I was calling you at a good time. Give respect. Next thing now, Pearl is just going to listen in. First thing I do is just share my story. And the reason you share your story, and my story, is the same as yours. It's all about the same of everybody. Were you cautious or somewhat skeptical and had a fear when you were first introduced to the business? You thought to yourself, could I do it? How would it be received by others, right? So are they. So I tell that. In sharing my story, I'll say, Carol, when I was first introduced to network marketing, I got to tell you, I had preconceived ideas of the industry. I didn't fully understand it. I probably thought I was too good for it. And I even had a fear of could I do it and how would it be received by others. But this is just so unbelievably powerful. But by sharing my story with Carol, guess what? Carol relates to me because she feels the same way. So share your story. Second thing I do is just take some time to get to know Carol. Ask some questions. And again, go back to asking questions. And by asking questions, then if I can find out what Carol wants, my whole purpose is to help her get it, show her a faster way to get it. And also when asking questions then, I'm going to ask Carol, did you see how you can develop an organization of hundreds or even thousands of people by introducing a few friends to the business and how that can create a tremendous movement of product? Because a lot of times people don't see the concept of leverage. I've learned to walk people through this right over the phone. And what I do with this is I might make a statement like this. I'll say, Carol, did you see how $1 million in product can be sold and moved with the business you own? And you can always tell if they kind of understand it or don't. And I'll say, this is what caused me to lose sleep at night. And I think Pearl would agree with that. If you've got about 50 seconds, that's all it takes me to share this concept with you. Have you got a pen and paper right there? And you'll get a pen and paper, and I'll slowly walk through this right over the phone. just the way I did in the presentation. And I just kind of instruct. I'll say, first month, sponsor 1, write the number 1 down. Second month, you have 1 in the network, write the number 1 down. Now, when they sponsor 1, put +1 beside it. I keep it real basic. They sponsor 1, put +1 beside it. You sponsor 1, put +1 beside it. Do you see how 3 people are now in your network? I just walk it through real basic. And walk them through leverage. I can hear them on the other end of the phone sometimes go, wow, when they hit them, when they see it. And so that's the second thing I do, or the third thing I do. Then after that, there's usually questions. And with the questions, I just answer the questions right to the point, because you'll get the same ones over and over again. And so the purpose of the 3-way phone call is not for Pearl and I to jump on Carol to get her in the business. The purpose of the call, of the follow-up, is to give third-party confirmation, and also for Pearl to learn as she's listening in. Because we're learning and building at the same time. Because there'll be questions that are asked that she's going to learn how to answer them just by listening in. And I use 3-way calling for myself when I have a prospect. And you might think, well, geez, Greg, it seems like you might know the answers to all the questions. And I think in most situations, in most situations I do. But I bring somebody else still online because of the third-party confirmation. Would you say that your friend knows you best? Your friend, the stranger's the expert in these situations, right? See, Carol doesn't know me. But Carol may know Pearl well enough to say, oh, Pearl, I've seen you've been involved in 3 or 4 of these things before. They've never worked for you before. Geez, why don't you come to me with another one? But just because the stranger's on the line, being myself, I'm the barrier for rejection. And so the friend or guest is many times on the best behavior too. Right? And so what's the worst thing that can happen? If after that phone call is over, the worst thing that can happen if Carol tells Pearl, well, I think that Greg guy is just all washed up. I never want to do this business. The worst thing that can happen, Pearl can say, well, I thought so too, I just wanted your opinion. So you see that rejection, or perceived rejection, has come towards me. Okay. So we do this for a minute, but we all stand up and face that way. Put your hands on the shoulders of the person in front of you and start squeezing. I did say shoulders. Coming from the heart and finding out what somebody wants and then showing them a way to get it faster. And then showing them the way to get it faster is really showing the concept of leverage and educating. I want to do it visually just for a moment. So we're going to build a network right now. I am going to come over here and sponsor Mel. Is that all right, Mel? Good. Come on. Come up here and join me, Mel, if you would. And if I could, let's see. Can I sponsor you? Carrie? Hi, Carrie. Good. Okay, Carrie and Mel. Now, I have just sponsored Terry and Mel into the business, and so sponsor means responsibility. It's not JewelWay's responsibility or the upline's responsibility to work and teach and train and develop Terry. It's mine, because I sponsored them. And so I care about them anyway, because they're friends. And so I want to help them. We're going to go through the process, but now Terry and Mel are going to sponsor 2 people. Would you point to 2 people and just introduce 2 friends that you care about and sponsor them into the business? Yeah, just point to them. Now, guys, you don't have to pick up the phone, just point to them. Yeah, there you go. Come on up. Each of you sponsor two. Point to two people. Come on up. Good. We have 4 new representatives in the business now. Okay? Mel was just introduced and sponsored 2 people, so is Terry. So now what's happening is that I'm also going to work with Mel and Terry in working with our 4 new representatives. We're going to start the duplication process. So our 4 new representatives point to 2 people and sponsor 2. Oh, she's good. You can take her along.
Then we'll do 50.
Good.
Right?
No, Terry and Mel, you're done. Or no, you need to. Yeah. No, you're done. You're done. You sponsor 2. Good. We should have 8 new representatives coming up here. Hey, yeah. Okay, we've got 8 new representatives who just came into the business. But our 8 new representatives, you come into the business, you've taken the time to decide what you want, you made a list of names, you want to share it with your friends, starting the duplication process. And so each of our 8 people point to 2 and bring 2 people up. Oh, how I wish it was this easy. Now, if we were to continue on, this is developed because I had sponsored 2 people, Mel and Terry. But then duplicated myself to Mel and Terry, and sponsored 2, we just had 16 new people come up. If we were to continue this on, just 4 more times, the whole room would be up here. Actually, about 3 times, the whole room would be up in front. And I do this as a visual to help you understand that that's what the concept of leverage. Now, with the people up here, we had, let's see, 2, 4, 8, 16. Now, if everybody here, if all you did was spoil yourself with a gift of anything off page 2 or 4, or do you see the volume of product that we're doing? Do you see the volume of product? There would have been almost 100,000, there would have been close to, say, $75,000 of product that was just sold right here in what we just done before your eyes. And so I wanted to just take a moment and share that with you. I want to thank everybody for participating. I'm just going to finish up on follow-up. Follow-up is so powerfully important because it's the key to your business. I spend, when I'm in a building mode, and I still work my business part-time. I really do. I still work my business part-time. Most of my time is spent doing 3-way follow-up phone calls. You see, once you understand the concept of leverage, you don't have to sponsor the world. I just sponsored Terry and Mel. I could have spent my entire energy working with all these people up here in their contacts, and just doing 3-way calls and helping them bring their people in, And that's, you don't need to go out and sponsor a lot of people. You start working with your people's people. And that's the, but I didn't think that way at first. I thought, great, if it works good by sponsoring 2, I'm going to sponsor 100. But you'll find that you can only effectively work with 5 people at a time anyway. It'll wear you out to effectively work with about 5 people at a time. As you expand your business, I want to just touch base on long-distance sponsoring. Long-distance sponsoring, when I got into business, there were no other presentations. If I had a friend and we had people outside of where we were at in Phoenix, there was no presentation to send them to. It's actually now much better. It's much easier than pioneering in the early stages. Because off of our Facts on Demand, and I want to share with you that the Facts on Demand meeting list, we update now every 7 to 10 days. And we call everybody to make sure the presentations are current, and then we're adding presentations on. So the Facts on Demand, most of you know this, but I will write it down, 1-904-666-6666. 386-9260, and that's extension 441. If you have a friend in any of the number of cities in Canada where there's ongoing presentations, or any of the number of cities in the U.S. where there's ongoing presentations, this is the place to find it. You call from a fax machine and just simply follow the instructions, and it comes right over the fax. And many times people say, oh, it doesn't work. And I say, well, did you call from a fax? No, I called from my phone. You can't send the paper over the phone. You've got to call from a fax machine, follow the instructions. And many times people will say, well, I have a friend in an area where there's no presentation on the fax on demand. Well, if that's the case then there's no leadership in that area. There's no leadership in that area. And so with that then, your friend will start and develop the presentation within that area. So you just be real straightforward. And here's how to introduce a friend to the business that is not an area where there's presentations you can send them to. You just send them a video. But don't send a video without calling them first. Because one of the first things is caring about somebody. And it doesn't show caring if a video just shows up in the mail. Call them first. Just give a phone call first. And just like you would normally invite. Mel, I run across something that's just unbelievable. Mel's going to say, what is it? And at that point, I'm not going to get into a lot of details. And just add your own personality, come from the heart, and send a video. I used to send a complete package. And I used to think, okay, let's see, it's $3 to send a priority mail, so I'm going to make sure and put everything in there. Boy, I'm going to put the catalog, and I know they're going to get involved, so I'm going to put the forms and everything in there. I've learned not to do that. I just send the video. Because what happens is they open up the package, they grab the catalog, and they don't understand leverage yet, do they? They base their entire decision on if they can relate to the product. And so there's two parts of the business, retailing and building an organization. I'm mainly focusing on building an organization tonight. And we have a lot of people retailing and earning additional income and just sharing the product with people. If you're introducing your friend to the opportunity, just send the video. Because they'll open up the catalog, thumb through it, prejudge it, the video sits on the VCR and doesn't get watched. Anybody else have that happen? Sure, absolutely. So just send the video. Then it's a must that you do a follow-up, and always do a three-way follow-up phone call. Here's how to support long distance. Let's say your friend comes into the business and there's nothing going on in that area. How do you teach them? How do you train them? Be strong enough to give assignments, to go through the starter pack, listen to the audios, and as well, have your upline get on the line with you if it's three-way calling. You can daisy chain. You can get 2 or 3 people online together. I do it all the time. I train over the phone. Let's say I call Pearl. Pearl has three-way calling, so she calls Carol. Carol calls Alice. Alice calls Tina. And so we got 4 people on one line. I call out over here, and you got Mel online over here, and Mel online, she calls a friend. And so now we've got maybe 6 to 8 people all on one call. And that's a powerful tool to use. Here's how to utilize it supporting long distance. Your friend just comes into the business. They don't know how to do a presentation. They don't have to. Just teach them how to invite. They can invite their friends over to the house, plug in a video, push the play button. Have them get a speakerphone or a speaker box from Radio Shack, 2-way speaker box. They show the video at 7 o'clock. They alert you that they're doing that. You'll be by the phone around 7:45 or 8 o'clock. They simply call you. Now you can support, as the upline team, right over the speaker box. You can share your story with everybody in the room. To make it even better, call out on three-way calling and get your upline, 2 or 3 of your upline team members, or 2 of your upline team members online with you. So you can be sitting in your home, bring 2 other people online, and then call to your friend that's out of state and address their audience over the speaker box. It's real simple stuff and it works. I can't tell you how many new areas have been developed that way. And another thing is, don't turn over your people to somebody else. I see that happen a lot. Let's say that somebody says, well, you've got a friend in a certain area, and you find somebody else in that area. Oh, here's my cousin. Would you call him and invite him to the meeting? No, that's your responsibility. You call and get them, or you send a video and get them over there. Besides, you don't want to do that until you know that other person anyway. When I say that, it's people look on the fax on demand list. They don't see a meeting in an area. They might find somebody that's in that area. But if they're not doing a meeting, they're not taking leadership. And you don't want to turn your friend over to them because what may happen is if you just say to your sister, brother, or cousin, oh, here, here, call this person in your area, they'll show it to you. And then they call that person and it says, oh yeah, I signed up in that thing 6 months ago, it didn't work for me, I quit. It's happened. It's happened. Okay. We talked about approaching strangers. I want to talk a minute just about the management mode, and we all get into that, and it's something I want to caution you over. In the beginning, we're all excited. We're all excited, we're sharing the business with people, but later, what happens is you slow down a bit, and you find yourself in what I call the management mode, where it's important that you balance yourself, because you're continuing to show the business and follow up with people, and also developing leaders and working with your people. But for those platinum executives in the room, I want to caution you from falling into the management mode. And that is, you've got 10 people sponsored at least. Now you're working with they and their people, but you need to set the pace and lead by example by continuing to expose new people to the business. And it is easier to train and teach than it is to pick up the phone, isn't it? Sure. It's easier to talk to someone else's guest than your own friend, right? So you get stuck in that management mode. But people are watching you, and they're seeing you at the presentations and seeing you at the trainings. And if you're not leading by example, then you're going to see a slow growth in your organization. The speed of the network and organization is going to be based on the speed of the leader, which is yourself. And so you take the leadership role, and in the beginning, you thought that just everyone you showed your business to or shared it with was going to see it or accept it. But what happens later, you realize that not everybody is going to make the commitment broad enough to see that success. And besides, you get in your comfort zone because it's easier to teach and train, so you slow down introducing the business. Leaders need to continually work on their own belief level. And I still, to this day, I'll go back and read materials that I read prior, and I'll get a whole new meaning out of it. I will. I remember the first time. How many people have read Don Felia's book? Don Felia's book? What is it? Basics of Building a Successful MLM Network. When I read that book, I thought that was 4th grade. Anybody else think that? I go, this is 4th grade stuff. Gold ships coming in. What is all this stuff? But now that I understand networking, I go back and reread that book, and I said, he is right on. He is so right on with the information he's sharing. Because what he's sharing with you is finding out what someone wants, find out lifestyle, show them a way to get it, and show them, make sure they understand the concept of leverage. That's the basics of that book, and it's so powerful. And so, if you're a platinum executive, why not set some new goals, set some new sponsoring goals. Go back and go through the training manual and say, okay, I'm going to set some new goals for myself. And also be the person that you would like to attract to your business. Be the person that you would like to attract to your business, because like attracts that. It really does. It's easy, and reach up to the most successful person you know. It's easier to invite them, isn't it? Well, I'll invite this guy. They wouldn't for me. They have to come, right? But imagine if everyone did that. Imagine if the restaurant owner invited the cook or the chef invited the waitresses, the waitresses invited the busboys invited the dishwashers invited the guys who did the floor. Look at the quality of your network and what's happening. It's not to say that they can't be successful, but reach out to successful people, the people that you don't think would be interested, because those are the individuals that recognize opportunities. And those are the people that are busy, and busy people tend to get things done. They're the ones on committees. They make things happen. Learn to ask involvement questions. I've seen that after a presentation, your guest has seen the opportunity, and again, slow down. Because I watch people turn to their friend and say, wasn't that great? Make sure, did you see this portion? And they go over it all again. Just sit back after the presentation and turn to them and just say, well, now do you see why I'm so excited? With what you've seen and heard, how do you see yourself getting started? Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, I can't say that. That doesn't sound like me. You're already thinking that. But try it. It will sound like you. Well, now you can see why I'm so excited with what you've seen and heard. How do you see yourself getting started? Now, it's unlikely they're going to say, well, great, I want to start with a sales that's going to be 11. I doubt that's going to happen. But at least that involvement questions, asking that involvement question then starts the dialect for their question. Because they will have questions. They will have questions. And then so a question is really just a request for more information. That's all it is. It's not an objection, it's just a request for more information. And so the other thing the person wants to know, your prospect wants to know, is that They have a fear. They have a fear of, can I do this? Always let them know there's great training. You know, what we do is create teams. We have regular training going on here, and we have a team of people to help and support. Because a lot of people have a fear that, oh, geez, you might sign me up and never hear from you again. Right? And so indicate to them the support that's available. I always take a few moments in a presentation to share with people how you build a network. At the end of this presentation I did tonight, I say, you know, if you can share a video, you can be successful. If you can invite someone to a presentation, you can be successful. If you can set appointments for the upline team members, you can be successful. Because the new person, they don't know. They say, you know, I see this guy talking up here, but I can't do that, so I don't think I can do this business. And so take a moment just to let them know there's some great training available and that you're there to help them. Be strong enough with your new people to keep them on the right track. Because they're going to come to you all the time with those wonderful ideas. Those wonderful ideas. Boy, let me share with you this great ad I designed. The reason people want to advertise is because they want someone to see this advertisement, call them up, so they don't get rejection. But guess what happens? You have a stranger calling you off an ad. And instead of a friend saying, what is it, now you have a stranger saying, what is it? So you still have to learn the same thing. You still have to learn to set the appointment or show the business. Nobody ever calls an ad and says, hey, I saw your ad, I want to get involved and sign up right now with 11. Or something of that nature. It just doesn't happen. You might run an ad, they're going to call up and say, what is it? And so you still need to learn the skills to set the appointments and show the opportunity. And follow the corporate tours. I can see you've done a good job of doing that. And recognize that you can't do it for people. You know, there's friends that you want to show the business to, and sometimes you want it more for them than they want it for themselves. How many times have you felt like choking a friend? Stupid, don't you do that? Right? Sure, we've all gone through that. We've all gone through that. And you can't make them successful. One of the mistakes I made also, I was being too parental. I was being too parental. I would sponsor someone in the business. They would get excited. They would get involved. They would have a couple of friends steal their dream, and then you'd never see or hear from them again. What you want to do is, in the very beginning, new representatives are very fragile. You want to build a relationship and be in touch with them. Every 72 hours or so. And not to be parental, not to say, hey, listen, the meeting was last night, I didn't see you there. Who'd you call this week? Did you make your list yet? No. In the beginning, be strong enough to give assignments. But later, as time goes on, simply call, just let them know you care. And always take it back to what they wanted. If I know what somebody wants, I can call them back and say, Mel, when I first introduced this business to you, you shared with me that you wanted to spend your time on the river with that boat. And I know that we can have that, but Mel, I hadn't heard from you or hadn't seen you at the last presentation, so I suspect that what's transpired is what happened to me too. You talked to a couple of friends and tried to tell you they didn't give you the response you wanted, right? So just, I don't try to, but it just depends. I just talk to people, talk to them from the heart, and just say, Mel, your dream and reason for involvement have not changed at all. I'm just simply calling to let you know I'm here to support. Is there anything I can do to help you? Simple as that. Is there anything I can do to help? Because you can't make people do it when the time's right. And so, that's another thing with the management model. People will sponsor 10 representatives or platinum executives and say, okay, I'm going to sit back, calm down, and we'll let them do it. No, your energy goes into helping them see success. Helping them see success. And, different things that I go through, and sometimes it's playing games in my own mind, and that is where, I would say, okay, I'm going to go out and get 100 no's. I'm going to go out and get 100 no's. And you'll go through times where you have spurts of growth. You'll go through other times where you think, gosh, I've shown 5 people the business and they're just not seeing it. And so I'll go back and kind of evaluate what I'm doing or saying with my own belief level. Because people have an uncanny ability of sensing what's happening. Sensing your belief and sensing whether you want them in the business for their benefit or your benefit. People sense that. And so I'll go back and reevaluate. But I'll say, okay, gosh, I've had 5 no's, it's about to break. And so I just know that something's going to take place. You just keep going. It's like an airplane. It takes most of the fuel just getting off the ground. Most of the fuel. If it took you 36 months to build 2 foundation legs, would it be worth it? Sure, absolutely it would. Absolutely. And because massive income takes massive action. But a lot of people, they get into business and they want the massive income by introducing 3 people to the business and sit back and try to wait for it to happen. No, you don't wake up in the morning. I don't wake up in the morning and say, okay, I got a prospect today. I just make it a part of my life. You just meet people. You go about your life, you meet people in social settings, on airplanes, and just anywhere. And I meet a lot of strangers. I've just moved to Tucson. I don't know anybody in Tucson. But it's really fun being in Tucson. How many people have gone to a different area where you don't know anybody and you feel more confident? Sure. Well, and so that's the same thing. Understand that we all go through. Take the time to realize that you're doing the favor. Recognition is really important. I find that babies cry for it and grown-ups die for it, right? And recognition is really important. So I think it's always appropriate to recognize little successes. And I think this entire business is built on little successes. Remember the phone call you made to somebody and they said, yeah, this sounds good. I'd like to take a look at what you have. How'd you feel? Shocked. Shocked. You know, when that phone call that just went perfect and they say, yeah, this is great. So I've become addicted to little successes. That's what I do. I become addicted to little successes. And so there's times where I feel like I'm taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back. But that friend that just says, you know, Greg, I'm so thankful that you shared this with me. This is powerful. I mean, I can't tell you the feeling that gives me. And so become addicted to those little successes. But the only way to get them is to continue to pick up the phone, invite, and then follow up. And work with the follow-up with the others. Now, everything I have shared with you tonight is something you have all heard before, hasn't it? Right? There's no magic. There is no magic. I have no magic secret. And when you look at the journal and look at all the top 40 income earners, none of those income earners built their organization with advertisements, telemarketing machines, advertising, cable television, trade shows, functions. They built their entire business by making a list of names, calling people, setting appointments, showing the opportunity, and following up and doing it over and over and over again. And that's it. Every one of the top producers. And you know what? The top producers, they didn't sponsor 100 people. Everybody there on that top 40 income earner list, they sponsored 25 or less people. 25 or less people, that's it. That's it. And you can do it. I know you can do it. I would like to take some time for some recognition and recognize our silver executives. If our silver executives would please stand up. I want to recognize our silver executives because you've seen the opportunity, you stepped out of your comfort zone to get involved in the opportunity, didn't you? See, there are other silver executives that didn't take the time to be here tonight. They got excited, they got involved, and then a couple of friends steal their dream, and they decided to sit home and see what's happening with OJ on television. And so, but you've taken the time to be here tonight. You know, the quickest point to your success, the quickest point from A to B is always a straight line. But you never take a straight line. You're always adjusting your course a little bit as you learn. And so that's why when I got in network distribution, I just absorbed like a sponge everything I could. I went to every presentation, every training. I read everything I could, knowing that if I could just get one little piece of information, that might help adjust my course to help see success. And I want to recognize our silver executives because you've taken the time to see an opportunity and do something about it, and you took the time to be here tonight, and hopefully you have a lot of guests with you. I'd like to recognize our gold executives. The gold executives, please stand up. But the gold executives, now our gold executives have sponsored 4 or more individuals that have reached silver executive status. And in doing so now, you're just kind of getting started in your business, or maybe you were in it for a while and didn't do much with it and coming back to it, but you sponsored 4 individuals. And so I know that there's been times where you felt like you were taking one step forward, two steps backwards. I know there were times you went through frustration. You see, as our goal, and I'd like everyone to see this, if everyone you invited to a presentation came, please raise your hand. If everyone that came to the presentation got involved, please raise your hand. If everyone that got involved made a commitment, please raise your hand. If there wasn't a time you had a friend give you a little bit of hard time and not see what you were doing or frustrated you, please raise your hand. If there wasn't a time maybe you got stuck on terminal hold at the company on calling in, please raise your hand. See? You've experienced that. But you see, you recognize that's part of the business. Somebody once said to me that, Greg, that's what you get paid the big bucks for. You know, and what I'm saying that is it's a people business. And if you stay at it long enough, you can see what happens. You see what happens. So maybe it takes you not 12 months. Maybe it takes you 24, 36, or 48 months, but the rewards are there. I promise you it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Your dreams are going to happen. And there's some luck involved. There is some luck involved. Now, you may have to sponsor 10 people before somebody really makes a commitment and takes off with it. Other people, maybe the first or second person they sponsor just takes off with it. So I promise it will happen for you. I promise it will. And so I want to recognize our gold executives for being leaders and taking the time to be here tonight. I'd like to recognize our platinum executives. If you please stand up. Sponsor 10 or more, so they must know something magic that we don't, right? That secret pill, something like that, things seem to come easier for them. Now, please take note, for our platinum executives, if everybody that you invited to a presentation came, please raise your hand. If everyone that came to the presentation got involved, please raise your hand. If everyone that got involved in your business duplicated, please raise your hand. If there wasn't a time you had a friend, coworker, neighbor, or family member give you a little bit of a hard time, please raise your hand. If there wasn't a time that you felt like you had some misgivings about your decision, please raise your hand. You see, they've all been through it too, just like I have. And that's part of the process of learning. And part of this business is about the personal growth and development that we obtain from this business in itself. And that's one of the most satisfying, gratifying things about this business too. Not just the lifestyle and the income that can be developed, but what we learn about ourselves and other people. And I have learned that you will attract people. Be the person that, if you become the person that you would like to attract, that's going to start to happen. And so again, I want to recognize our platinum. And I'd like to recognize our diamond executives. Richard and Mary, would you please come up? Richard just went through major surgery. Does he look great? I'd like Richard and Mary to just take a moment and share with you whatever they'd like to share.
It's great. It's great to be back up here in front of so many people. The real blessing, you know, when I was in the hospital.
Closer, Richard.
When I was in the hospital, I'm not used to this thing. When I was in the hospital, I had a lot of time to reflect on things, and really understood how the real blessings in life are friends and family, and the strangers today who will be friends tomorrow because of this type of opportunity. And the last year and a half has really taught me a lot about myself and exposed me a lot to a lot of great people, and a lot of people, you know, all these people out here that so many of them that have come to know better and to know anew that we knew before. And I just want to really encourage you all to stay in the game. It really works. When I've been off work about two and a half months now, and the neat thing about it was our income didn't skip a beat. The weekly checks kept coming in, and that was great. And the friendships kept building and developing, and that was even greater. So this has just been the best year and a half of our lives, and I look forward to the next year and a half and beyond. So just stick with the game. Thank you.
What can I say? It works. We love it. And everybody come to convention.
One other thing I wanted to mention, George, correct if I get this wrong. The meetings in Eugene, they changed locations. Tomorrow night at 7:30 at the Red Lion at Gateway.
Thursday night.
Thursday night. Tuesday. And Tuesday night's meeting is now at the Gateway at the roadway across the street from where it used to be at 7 o'clock. So.
Oh, repeat that again.
Okay, Tuesday meeting at the roadway Inn at 7 o'clock, and Thursday meeting is at Red Lion Gateway at 7:30.
You know, I was introducing, working with some people in Maine about this business. And Maine is where they have the Maine lobster. They were telling me about lobster behavior. And he was telling me how you could put a lobster in a bucket and that lobster would crawl out. And they said, you know, you could put 2 lobsters in the bucket and they'll always stay in the bucket. And I said, well, what do you mean? They said, because as one lobster tries to crawl out of the bucket, the other one reaches up there, grabs it, and pulls it back down. And there are some lobsters within your family and friends. But recognize that, again, as you build your belief, in time, everyone you care about will be in your business. The timing's not right now, or they're not open to see it. And timing has a lot to do with that. When I was involved in real estate, the market was so strong I would have never taken the time to look with an open mind at the opportunity. But then when things started to change in that industry, for some reason, I was a little more open, and I saw it. And I say that, and you've seen it. You see when somebody sees the vision of what's in this business for them and what it can do. And it can change lives, and it's real. And so this business has taught me more patience than anything else I've ever done. Because I wanted it now when I first got involved. But you know, how many of you feel the same way? You want it now. And you're going to have it. I think this is designed this way on purpose to kind of put us through a bit of a test or something. Because we all seem to go through this. But you know, when you say now, look how fast the last year went. Richard and Mary, you've been involved in the business how long now? About 18 months. Again, when you go to the journal and look at the top income earners within the company, they weren't there 5 years or 10 years. They've been in an opportunity in company for on an average of about 24 months. And Marcia Fine is proud to say, she'll stand up and say, it took her the longest time to get to Diamond Executive. She goes, it took me the longest. She goes, it took me 3 years to get to Diamond Executive. But now she and her husband are enjoying a lifestyle that's unmatched. They're enjoying traveling. They're enjoying an auto bonus. They're enjoying a new home they acquired in Miami. And so you know what? Even if it takes you 36 months or even 48 months, I promise you it's well worth it. Because whatever your goals and dreams and aspirations are, sometimes we have to go back and focus on those. And I continue to do that. And it's something that most people bear. They dream of their children, but as they get older, they let go. And I remember talking to a friend. I said, Paul, what is it you want? And then Paul just said, I want to make more money. And I said, well, there's got to be something more. What do you want to do with it? He said, I don't know. I just want to make more money. And I said, well, what? Aren't there things you enjoy doing? Do you have any hobbies? And he said, no, I just want to make more money. And so I said, well, Paul, I'd like to share one of our many dreams with you. And I thought, that if I was to share one of my dreams with Paul, that it might get him to be able to think again, because we bury our dreams many times. And I shared with him a story about how, 10 years ago or so, I went on a cruise to the Caribbean. Never been there before. I fell in love with it. I mean, there's 3,000 islands there. We stopped at about 5 of them. The water was a color that I'd never seen before, a pristine blue. The food was great. The people were friendly. The temperature was the same day and night. I mean, it was just one of the most beautiful places in the world, and I just loved it. And I said, I want to come back here. And I want to come back with my family where we can take an entire summer when the kids are off school. And take a motor yacht and be able to just go explore those islands. Some of those islands are 100 yards apart, some of those islands are miles apart, and we can come and go and stay what we want. No more knot in the stomach about saying, I got to be back to the office on Monday. You know, they have phones and fax machines on those boats, I can do it. And so I thought so that's one of our dreams. And so I was sharing that with him. And I said, Paul, there's got to be something you've always wanted to do. You just came back from Indianapolis watching the Indy 500. I said, you must love racing. He said, oh, I love racing. And I said, then why don't you race? He said, oh, that's big time. And it's expensive. And I said, well, I'm not talking about the Indy car. I said, you can go over here to the track and race the little sprint cars or the stock cars or the little ninja cars. If you love racing that much, why don't you race? Oh, Greg, he said, that's expensive. And I said, well, let me share with you here. I said, Paul, you see that if we develop 2 foundation ways, that could bring in $22.50 a week. And I said, and I can help you do that. If you knew you had $22.50 a week coming in, Paul, I said, what would you do? He said, oh, I'd quit my job in a heartbeat. And I said, well then, if you knew you had that income coming in and you quit your job, then would that give you the time you might need to pursue a sponsor for a race car? He said, oh yeah. And I said, well Paul, then what if we just went out and developed one more leg? And now you've doubled your income and you even need the sponsor for the race car. He started thinking of it and he said, no, I guess I wouldn't. And so I said, well, Paul, you just found the reason for doing this business then. And so what I was attempting to do was get Paul in touch with something that meant something to him. And so many times we bury those dreams because we feel that they're not attainable. And so pull yours out, write them down. And as you're talking to other people, ask questions to find out what theirs are. And I think that's the key to success in this business. You know, it's a business that, you know, you only work hard one time. That's it. And it's a business where the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And so decide you're going to make a commitment. Okay, I'm going to show 2 people a week the business. I'm going to follow up with additional people. You know, go back and reset, do some goal setting for yourself. Be coachable. You know, make your dreams a necessity. Make fortune a necessity. And everybody wants massive income, but you got to have some massive action with it. It's like pushing the boulder up the hill. Once you get it to the top, then it's just cruising down. And understand in the beginning that you're overworked and underpaid. And that's why it's so important to have people understand leverage. I pointed out that in the 3rd month, there's only 7 people in your network. Well, look what happens if you stick with it and continue to make the commitment. Work the numbers. Don't invite 1 or 2, invite 5 or 10 to the presentation. And understand that just set it that you're going to get 100 no's. You're going to get 100 people to tell you no. Because that sometimes helped me because I was getting frustrated. Because I knew that every time I got a no, I was supposed to be getting a yes. And you can have whatever you want. I think what most people want is freedom. Nobody fails in JewelWay. A lot of people quit, but nobody fails. And there are people that are just many times just months away from success, and they let it go. Just months away. They've got one leg developing and going strong, but they start to lose some belief and they let it go. And you never know. All it takes is one strong leader on the other side. You never know where they're going to come from. And so just stick with it. The people that let the business go a year and 2 years ago, if they would have just on a part-time basis kept chipping away, I would have guaranteed they'd be success. So once you focus on what you want, then you decide whether you're going to have it in 96 or 1997. And one of the things, the best things I can say is our convention coming up in July is going to be so powerful. And that's what turned me around in network marketing when I started to lose belief, when I went to a convention. We have some exciting things. It is the best thing you can do for your business. yourself and get all your people to the convention, because we have not only is it very educational, but we've got some very fun things planned at this convention. And you're going to see an extravaganza that you haven't seen before, and I assure you that that's going to develop a belief like you've never had before with this company. I want to thank everybody for taking their time to be here tonight, and I ask that everybody please drive safely, and God bless, and I'll see you all at